The Renegade Immortal audiobook series is wrapping up soon. Feel free to donate and drop your requests for the next series. Thanks so much for listening and supporting the channel. Previously in chapters 2021 to 2040, Wang Lin attends the banquet on the eve of the ancient Tao Emperor and Apos' Empress crowning ceremony. There he is shocked to discover that Xianxia, the soon-to-be Empress, shares Li Muan and Apos' exact temperament and harbors her soul fragment. Despite uncovering this agonizing truth, Wang Lin suppresses his monstrous rage to avoid putting his teacher, Grand Emperor Xian Luo, the guardian of the ancient Tao, in a difficult position. However, the ancient Tao Emperor Yi Dao deliberately provokes, humiliates, and demands that Wang Lin kneel. When Wang Lin offers the soul of the Celestial Emperor and the head of the Celestial Ancestor in exchange for Xianxia, the Emperor not only refuses but greedily plots to seize the treasures in Wang Lin and Apos' life. Pushed to the brink by the Emperor and Apos' sheer arrogance, Grand Emperor Xian Luo decides to forsake his lifelong duty as the ancient Tao and Apos' guardian, willing to bear the title of a sinner to protect his only disciple. The storm at the ancient Tao Imperial Palace, where Xian Luo's disciple Wang Lin had stormed the palace and used his death to repay Xian Luo's kindness, had attracted the attention of countless people. In the end, he killed the ancient Tao Emperor, and not even the Holy Emperor Yi Wei was able to stop Wang Lin from leaving. This news gradually spread after the members of the other two clans left. Almost everyone who was qualified knew about it. This matter should have caused a bigger wave, but another even more shocking matter made it slowly fade. The early opening of the immemorial God realm set off a wave across the entire ancient clan. The vast sea between the ancient clan and the celestial clan had become giant pit. The pit was endless and gave off the smell of decay. At the center of the sea was a storm that rumbled loudly. In the swirling sea, the door formed by the 9 heaven-piercing pillars loomed. This attracted the attention of a lot of powerful people, but after observing it, they all left. Jodi had also personally come here, but even with his cultivation level, he could not get far into the storm. Not to mention the door was not open. Judging with his cultivation level and Hai Zi's estimation, it would take 500 years for it to open. And this time, it would be a never-before-seen complete opening. Daoi Wufeng and ancient clan Grand Emperors, including Xian Luo, had all come. They silently looked door from outside the storm and silently left. But at the same time, a message had come down from Mount Gudao to the 3 royal clans and their Grand Emperors. The message was very simple. It told people to stop observing the immemorial God realm, and that it would open in 500 years. The message also told the 3 clans and their respective Grand Emperors to prepare for battle in 500 years. Mount Gudao didn't pay any heed to the death of the ancient Tao Emperor. This strange phenomenon made the part of the ancient Tao that was advocating for Grand Emperor Gudao to hunt Wang Lin down to become silent and never mention this matter again. Similar to the ancient clan, the Celestial Clan had also sent out a message to all 72 continents that the immemorial God realm would open in 500 years. They were to spend these 500 years training the powerful people under them. The Empyrean Exalts and Ascendant Empyreans were the most excited. The immemorial God realm was like the Dragon's Gate for them. Once they obtained a fortune, they would become a Grand Empyrean. Because of the appearance of the immemorial God realm, a storm had been set off on the immortal astral continent. However, due to the 500-year wait, the storm was suppressed into an undercurrent. It was like the calm before the storm. Whether it was the ancient clan or celestial clan members, if they believed they were qualified to enter the immemorial God realm, they felt a powerful pressure. They vaguely knew that the moment the immemorial God realm opened, a grand event would take place. But this matter would likely result in a war between the Celestial Clan and the Ancient Clan after being at peace for so long. The Ancient Clan was preparing. The Celestial Clan was the same. 500 years, only 500 years. For mortals, low-level cultivators, and low-level members of the 3 clans, 500 years may seem long. However, for the powerful, 500 years was just the blink of an eye. Signs of war appeared across the immortal astral continent, due to the appearance of the immemorial God realm. In a country at the border of the ancient Tao and ancient Shur, it was the rainy season. The rain was not strong, but it seemed like it was going to last for a long time. Even in the rain, the ancient cities remained bustling. The rain quietly fell on the earth and accumulated into small rivers. The sky was dim and seemed hazy. In a mountain not far in the distance, there was a young man in white holding a paper umbrella. Beside him was a woman. She was very beautiful, and she also looked ahead with the young man. "There are stories about you and the soul fragment inside me named Wang, the woman said softly as she withdrew his gaze from the rain and looked at the man in white beside her. It was this man who had broke into the ancient Dao palace, killed the ancient Dao emperor, and walked out of there with the power of one person, yet no one had dared to stop him. It was him who had brought her here. She didn't know what Wang Lin was going to do, but on the way here, the man's gentleness and consideration made her feel a warmth from the bottom of her heart. On the way, the man had told her a story. It was a long story, a chance encounter, a love that began with, "I'll take you to kill," and ended with, "Even if heaven wants you to die, I'll take you back," followed by thousands of years of sorrow and reminiscence. Wang Lin looked at the woman before him, revealing a gentle gaze, and nodded. The woman was silent. She could feel that Wang Lin's gentle gaze was not toward her, but the soul fragment inside her. She looked at the rain in the distance and spoke softly. "Where are we going?" "To the place we first met." Wang Lin held Xianxia as they faced the rain and walked into the distance. He didn't move at full speed for this trip, because he had to take care of Xianxia's weak body and the unstable soul fragment inside her. As a result, it had been a year since he had killed the ancient Dao emperor. During this year, Wang Lin had not been hunted by Mount Gu Dao, and the ancient Dao hadn't said anything about this matter. Wang Lin calmly brought the woman to the edge of the ancient Dao territory. Past this place would be the ancient Shi, where we first met. "Is it Blackstone City?" The woman's black hair was blown by the wind and a few strands flew into Wang Lin's face, entangling with his white hair. Wang Lin didn't speak and gradually disappeared with her into the rain. A few months later, Wang Lin and Xianxia left the ancient Dao and arrived at the ancient Shi. After arriving here, Xianxia's mood was no longer down. Looking at the ancient Shi, she found a sense of familiarity, but she spoke less and less. Facing Wang Lin, she became more and more silent and felt complicated. During this trip, she could sometimes feel Wang Lin sending a warm energy into her body. She didn't know what it did, but she could feel the soul fragment that had merged with her show signs of separation. He is separating the soul of the woman named Wang. Perhaps when the soul completely separates, that will be the moment of my death. But to be able to see my hometown, to see Aunt Chong and Sister Dong, is also very good. Xianxia felt bitter in her heart and silently pondered. She was afraid but powerless. Wang Lin saw all of this, but he didn't explain anything. They were getting closer to Blackstone City. Several more months passed. As the sun set on a deserted mountain, Xianxia looked into the distance and asked the man beside her, "We will arrive at Blackstone City tomorrow?" Just now, Wang Lin had told her that they would reach her hometown of Blackstone City tomorrow. Wang Lin nodded. Xianxia silently pondered for a moment and then smiled as she looked at Wang Lin. She looked at the person who had accompanied her for more than a year. She looked at the youthful face that gave off an ancient aura. "Wang is very fortunate. I hope you and her will be happy forever." At the noon of the next day, Blackstone City could be seen from the distance. The city made of black stone appeared in her eyes and made Xianxia feel a sense of home. Less than 500 meters from the city, Wang Lin stopped. Xianxia looked at Wang Lin and softly said, "Can you let me touch your face?" Wang Lin looked at the woman, and after a long time, he gently nodded. Xianxia smiled and her face suddenly turned red. She caressed Wang Lin's ordinary-looking face, and after a moment, she placed her head against Wang Lin's chest. She could hear his heartbeat. The sound of his heartbeat made her close her eyes. Wang Lin lowered his head and stroked her hair. A fragrance came from her and drilled into Wang Lin's nose. The two of them remained like this for some time. When the setting sun became faintly red and dim, Xianxia raised her head from Wang Lin's chest. "If I die, please." "You won't die." Wang Lin calmly looked at the woman. As he spoke, he pointed to the spot between her eyebrows. Xianxia's vision became blurry and she fell down as if she was asleep. Half an hour later, her eyes were filled with confusion when she woke up. She silently looked around with a frown, and after a long time she seemed to remember something. At this moment, the sun had mostly set and was about to disappear. Xianxia stood up and looked at her neck to find a jade pendant that gave off warmth. She could feel that Wan Er's soul fragment had disappeared. She was no longer Xianxia and she hadn't suffered any injuries. However, she felt a ripple across her heart, and her eyes were emotional. After a long time, she turned and walked toward Blackstone City, which was not far away. This was her home. Blackstone City was the same as before she left. She didn't meet any guards on her way in, as if the city lord had received an order. But when she arrived at her house, she saw two people standing there. One was a white-haired old woman and the other was a young girl. Aunt Chang. Sister Dong. I am back. Xianxia bit her lower lip and smiled. Outside Blackstone City, Wang Lin stood where Xianxia had stood and looked at the city. After a while, he withdrew his divine sense. The woman was very pitiful. The fusion with Wan Er's soul had harmed her greatly. Her memory was in disarray and she could not tell who she was. Wang Lin could have ignored her weakness and disregarded her life to separate Li Muan's soul. However, the result would have been her life force extinguishing. Wang Lin had cultivated for thousands of years. People thought that he was very ruthless and cold-blooded, but he was still human. He didn't want to do this, so he had spent nearly 2 years slowly making his way here. Along the way, he had slowly sent his cultivation into her body so that Li Muan's soul could be separated without harming her. She is innocent, but it was also her who allowed me to find Wan Er's soul, so she should not be hurt for this. The jade I left with her contains my divine sense and should keep her safe. Ji-du, you have to properly take care of her, Wang Lin slowly said. Ripple echoed behind Wang Lin and Prince Ji-du walked out. He respectfully said, as Godfather commands. I have informed the city lord to guard Xianxia to not allow her to suffer any harm. Please rest assured. I have even sent guards to live here to protect her. Prince Ji-du knew how important Xianxia was to his godfather, so he didn't dare to be sloppy in this regard. Prince Ji-du had stayed here because according to his analysis, Wang Lin would likely come here. He had waited here ever since he returned from the ancient Tao, and Wang Lin had finally arrived. Wang Lin didn't show any emotions about the fact that Ji-du had waited here. On the contrary, if Ji-du hadn't done this, then it meant that he would not be useful to Wang Lin, and it would be very difficult for Ji-du to obtain the position of ancient emperor. Let's go. Wang Lin glanced at Blackstone City once more and then walked into the distance. Ji-du suppressed the excitement in his heart and followed Wang Lin. Wang Lin walked ahead and calmly said, prepare a place for me. I'm going into closed-door cultivation. Child has a secret chamber in my palace. If Godfather isn't happy with it, I can get people to immediately create another, Prince Ji-du quickly replied. Wang Lin waved his sleeve and the world around them distorted and both of them disappeared. When they reappeared, they were inside Prince Ji-du's palace. This secret chamber is fine. Without my permission, no one is allowed to cause any disturbance. Wang Lin's gaze fell on the palace and he chose a secret chamber to enter. Seeing that Wang Lin was about to step into the secret chamber, Prince Ji-du hesitated. He seemed to want to say something but seemed afraid to speak. Wang Lin was halfway into the chamber when he paused and looked at Prince Ji-du. If you want to become the ancient Sure Emperor, then Grand Emperor Xianxia is key. If he recognizes you as the only candidate, then everything will be simple. Prince Ji-du looked helpless and spoke with a bitter smile. Child doesn't know what I have done to provoke Lord Song. Usually when I go see him, he doesn't meet with me, and even when I meet him in the palace, he is very cold. My younger brother Chi-man is very close to Lord Song. He lives on Origin Mountain and is rumored to have been accepted as Lord Song's disciple. Father also seems to care a lot about Chi-man. The entire ancient Sure is leaning toward him as the next emperor, Ji-du said bitterly. Wang Lin's expression was calm, and after hearing this, he silently pondered for a moment. The Grand Emperor of each clan can appoint each generation of emperor, but it is without exception. I think you are prepared. Wang Lin looked profoundly at Prince Ji-du. Prince Ji-du immediately felt like he had been completely seen through by Wang Lin, unable to even hide his thoughts. Prince Ji-du knelt down and respectfully said, Child is still preparing. I'm unwilling to fail and be forced out as a king. Once I lose the chance to become the emperor, there will be no second chance. Whether it is intelligence or cunning, I'm better than that Qi man. I'm unwilling to give up. I hope Godfather will help me. Once I become the emperor, I'll fulfill my previous agreement and won't dare to go back on it. Wang Lin's expression remained calm and he said, aside from your younger brother, there should be another opponent. And also senior brother. When he was born, there was a change in the world. It even attracted the attention of Grand Emperor Gu Dao and a gift was sent. He also has a high possibility of obtaining the position of emperor. Jidu smiled bitterly. Wang Lin pondered for a bit and said, I don't care about your preparations, but I can go meet that Song Tian to see if he can appoint you as the next emperor. When Prince Jidu heard this, he was ecstatic, but his expression didn't change much. He only nodded respectfully. Looking at Jidu before him, Wang Lin could see that formidable person. Someone who could cover up their emotions and knew their limits. We'll talk about this matter after I come out of closed-door cultivation. If there is nothing important, don't disturb me. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze and returned to the chamber. After the door closed, the place became silent. Prince Jidu knelt there for a while longer before he respectfully got up and revealed unabashed joy in his eyes. With Godfather's power, Lord Song might really change his mind, but I need to begin my plan as well. This time I must fight. Once I'm successful in 200 years Jidu will be the ancient Sure Emperor. Prince Jidu was excited and took a few deep breaths before he suppressed his excitement. He immediately sent out a command to make this a forbidden area, and anyone that dared to trespass would be immediately killed. He had even brought over several guards to protect this place day and night. Wang Lin walked into the secret chamber and looked around. He waved his right hand and a large amount of restrictions scattered across the room, sealing the entire chamber. With Wang Lin's current cultivation level, the restrictions he had placed made it so not even Grand Emperors could enter without him knowing. He sat on the ground and his eyes lit up. Aside from sending Songji home, there was a deeper meaning to him coming to the ancient Sure and helping Prince Jidu become the ancient Sure Emperor. One drop of soul blood can't make one heir's body enter the immemorial god realm. Back in the Purple Yang sect, he had seen many records about the immemorial god realm from Gemini. There were some descriptions of the immemorial god realm. As for when it appeared, no one knew, but from what he could gather, a powerful pressure could hide one from the operations of the world there. The souls of the people who died there would not enter reincarnation, as if even reincarnation was stopped there. This was very similar to what the ancient Tao Imperial Teacher had said. That was why Wang Lin had allowed the ancient Tao Imperial Teacher to activate the formation and open the immemorial god realm. One heir's body can't survive the immemorial god realm, and according to the ancient Tao Imperial Teacher, although the soul blood can make up for it, one drop is obviously far from enough. The ancient Tao Imperial Teacher painstakingly opened the immemorial god realm. He used the truth as lure and one heir's reincarnation as bait to make me go there. No matter what, his purpose is to make me believe him, so he should be at least telling the truth regarding one heir. Otherwise, I wouldn't need to go. Wang Lin silently pondered. The biggest reason he was going to help Jidu was that he needed more soul blood. In order to get more, he had to go the ancestral temple to go through the last trial. This is the only way to have a chance to obtain the approval of the ancient ancestor again, and perhaps obtain more soul blood. I can no longer go back to the ancient Tao, and the right to open the ancestral temple is not in the hands of the Grand Emperors. This right belongs to the current emperor. Even if Lu Chan is recognized as the ancient Tao emperor, I still don't want to go back to the ancient Tao. Wang Lin sighed and revealed a complicated expression. As for the ancient Ji, I haven't had much contact with them. The ancient Sure is much more suitable for me. Especially since although Jidu is ambitious, he doesn't dare to go against my intentions. 500 years. The last 500 years. Wang Lin took a deep breath and waved his hand. A crystal-clear coffin appeared before him. Li Muwen seemed to be sleeping inside the coffin. Wang Lin looked at Li Muwen and his expression became gentle. His left hand hit his forehead and a ray of silver light shined. There was a blurry shadow inside the silver light. This shadow was Li Muwen's soul fragment. One heir from now on your soul will be complete. I'll awaken you. Not just for decades but for a lifetime. Wang Lin raised his finger and the ray of light shot toward Li Muan. Her eyelashes suddenly quivered as if she was going to awaken, but they soon calmed down. However, 2 streams of crystal-clear tears flowed down from the corners of her eyes. Looking at Li Muan inside the coffin, he looked at her trembling eyelashes and her crystal-clear tears. Wang Lin gently wiped her tears away. The teardrops were still hanging on his finger. He put the tears beside his mouth and licked them. It was very bitter, but afterward there was a hint of dry sweetness. It was an unspeakable feeling. Wang Lin looked at Li Muan for a long time. He didn't care about the passage of time, but continued to look at Li Muan's face. This lasted for 1 day, until Wang Lin's heart gradually calmed down. He closed his eyes, and when he opened them, they were filled with determination and decisiveness. Wang Lin bent down and his face touched Li Muan's pale lips. He muttered into Li Muan's ear words that only he could hear. A moment later, Wang Lin waved his sleeve and Li Muan's coffin disappeared without a trace. Inside the secret chamber, only Wang Lin alone remained. Not far away there was an oil lamp. This oil lamp was very mysterious. Even without external force, it would burn for thousands of years. It was now flickering in the dark chamber. This made Wang Lin's shadow also flicker. Wang Lin's left hand reached at the void and a ray of golden light appeared. The celestial emperor's soul appeared in his hand. The soul's eyes were closed, and although it was covered in golden light, it emitted a powerful gray color of decay. Looking at the soul, Wang Lin hesitated a bit, but he clenched his teeth and spat out a mouthful of green fire. This green fire was his soul fire, and it began burning the celestial emperor's soul. Whether this soul is useful to me or not will depend on whether I can expel the ancestral curse. This process will be very slow. Wang Lin looked at the celestial emperor's soul surrounded by his soul fire. After a long time, he withdrew his gaze and closed his eyes. His breathing was faint and he remained motionless. Time passed and in the blink of an eye 3 years went by. During these 3 years, no one had come to disturb Wang Lin. He hadn't moved at all inside the secret chamber. In his body, the ancient power and celestial cultivation moved smoothly. However, the fusion of ancient and celestial power he had obtained at Mount Gudao hadn't completed a cycle at all. It had only moved a short distance. The celestial emperor's soul that was being refined by the soul fire and hadn't changed much. However, the decay inside had slowed down a lot. Wang Lin hadn't thought about anything going on outside. His secret chamber was being guarded by many people, and no one was allowed to enter. During these 3 years, Prince Jidu didn't leave and arranged matters in the place. Sometimes people would come from the outside and have secret talks with him. Then they would be filled with excitement and quickly leave. During the 3 years, Prince Jidu was like the wind and rain. No matter how important things were, he would personally stand outside Wang Lin's secret chamber with reverence on his face for half an hour before respectfully leaving. On this day, after 3 years, Wang Lin opened his eyes for the first time. The moment his eyes opened, 2 rays of crystal-clear light shined. Overlapping shadows appeared on his body, and his 5-element true body walked out and sat down opposite of him. The 5 elements in the 5-element true body had all formed their essence true bodies and fused into one. The complete 5-element true body was the most developed out of his essences. This was almost the limit, unless he took one more step for his 5-element true body to turn into true soul. After the 5-element true body sat down, he closed his eyes and sat down. He cultivated together with Wang Lin's original body, and another 3 years passed. This was the 6th year since Wang Lin entered closed-door cultivation. Another shadow overlapped with his body and killing intent spread out. Wang Lin's Slaughter Thunder Essence true body walked out. His black hair fluttered as he coldly walked toward another corner and sat down. At this moment, the scene inside the secret chamber was very strange. 3 figures that all looked like Wang Lin sat in a triangle and were all cultivating. As for the celestial emperor's soul, after 6 years of burning, the decay inside had slowed down. Perhaps one day, when the decay was completely removed, Wang Lin would be able to slowly refine it. Time left no trace and another 3 years passed. On the 9th year of Wang Lin's closed-door cultivation, another shadow overlapped with his body. This mass was not able to condense into a figure. After it appeared, This fuzzy mass of light floated out from Wang Lin's body and stopped 10 feet behind him. Wang Lin opened his eyes and looked at his 3 essence true bodies. During these 9 years of time, Wang Lin had pushed his ancient power to its peak, and at the same time, his 3 essence true bodies had reached their respective peaks. Right now, he was confident in battling a peak Grand Empyrean Dao Yi and not lose out. He even felt like he should be able to suppress Dao Yi. Among the Grand Empyreans, the Celestial Clan's Dao Yi is the weakest. With my current strength, although I'm no match for Zhou Di, I should be on par with Wu Feng. Even in the ancient clan, I should be able to battle against Song Tian, who is similar in power to teacher Xian Luo, but the victor would be uncertain. This is still before I use my strongest avatar. Wang Lin remained calm as he pondered. A moment later, he looked at the Celestial Emperor's soul being refined by his soul fire. With my soul fire to burn it, there is indeed some effect, but it is slow. I wonder when it will be complete. Wang Lin looked at the Celestial Emperor's soul for a long time before withdrawing his gaze. I temporarily don't need to worry about the 5-element true body. Back at the ancient Dao Imperial City, it reached completion and allowed me to reach peak void turbulent. This means my speculation was correct. If I want to increase my cultivation level, the next step is the Slaughter Thunder Essence true body. Wang Lin looked at his Slaughter Thunder Essence true body and his eyes revealed a strange light. As for the things needed to complete this true body, teacher, he has taken me to many places across the ancient clan and obtained enough items. Wang Lin sighed and withdrew his gaze. His gaze seemed turned toward the direction of the ancient Dao. His gaze seemed to be able to penetrate through the room, to the back mountain of the ancient Dao temple, to the old man that was no longer young. After a long time, Wang Lin withdrew his gaze. He had made a decision to not leave closed-door cultivation until his cultivation level increased. He had to raise his cultivation level to not only overcome Grand Empyrean Song Tian, but also to not have to fear Grand Empyrean Gu Dao. Only then would he be confident in making Grand Empyrean Song Tian choose Ji Du and get him into the ancestral temple. Most importantly, he needed the power to enter the immemorial God realm to push away all the fog in his way and find the secret goal of the ancient Dao imperial teacher. Grand Empyrean Gu Dao's attitude is very strange. He didn't come find me due to the matter at the ancient Dao, but I still have to rely on my own strength to resolve all my problems. I can't allow my life to be decided by the will of another. Wang Lin looked at his Slaughter Thunder Essence true body and his eyes lit up. His cultivation path was completely different from that of others. It was a path he had figured out on his own, and only he could point himself to where to go next. Only by trying could he see how it would go. This Slaughter Thunder Essence true body is made of special essences. The Thunder Essence has formed a true body, but the rest are only at completion. Slaughter, absolute end, absolute beginning restriction. Wang Lin murmured as he pointed at the Slaughter Thunder Essence true body. The true body trembled and slowly split before Wang Lin. The true body was surrounded by thunder and 4 separate clouds of fog appeared. When one of them appeared, the entire room became cold and a grazed killing intent filled the area. This was the Slaughter Essence. There was another cloud of fog that flashed countless strange symbols. As the fog moved, more and more symbols appeared. This was the Restriction Essence. As for the remaining 2 clouds of fog, one gave off light and the other was completely dark. They were respectively absolute beginning and absolute end. Only when all 4 essences form their essence true bodies and fuse into a complete Slaughter Thunder Essence true body can my cultivation level break past peak void turbulent. This perhaps may be Empyrean Exalt or Ascendant Empyrean, but it is possible it could be neither and be an unknown realm. Perhaps it might even be Grand Empyrean. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with expectation. From his understanding, the Empyrean Exalts and Ascendant Empyreans were just people at the peak of void turbulent. However, the step to reach Grand Empyrean was too difficult, so they were separated into more ranks. In fact, both Empyrean Exalts and Ascendant Empyreans, fundamentally speaking, were all peak void turbulent cultivators. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. After pondering a bit, he raised his right hand and waved at the roof of the secret chamber. A strange scene occurred as the ceiling turned into the sky. There was blue sky, white clouds, and clear sky for thousands of kilometers, but there was no sun. Wang Lin didn't hesitate to grab the absolute beginning essence and throw it into the sky-like ceiling. It shined brightly like the sun. Wang Lin looked up at the ceiling that had turned into the sky, and under his gaze the sky seemed to change. Soon a whole day passed and the absolute beginning, which had turned into the sun, gradually set. After the sun disappeared and the sky became dark, Wang Lin grabbed the absolute end essence. The essence flew into the dark sky and disappeared. Staring at the sky that had appeared on the ceiling, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. His hands formed seals and he muttered softly, "Flowing time." His self-created spell that controlled the flow of time and could reverse thousands of years in an instant. This spell had its uses outside of battle. Right now, Wang Lin was using it to strengthen his essences. The operations of the heavens and earth were very difficult for cultivators to control. Wang Lin was trying to create his own sky and giving it night and day, which was very difficult. At this moment, if someone else saw this, they would certainly be shocked. The spells the Dao Wang clan used to create caves and the Grand Emperor's power to create things from the void. Adding my flowing time spell, I can recreate the movement of the world. And I'm only refining one wall of this chamber, so it's still something I can control. Wang Lin looked at the ceiling and saw that day and night had altered more than a dozen times in a short period of time. I hope I can use this method to deepen my comprehension of the absolute beginning and absolute end essences. Wang Lin hit his forehead and a part of his origin soul flew into the ceiling to comprehend the alternating day and night. This wisp of origin soul fused into the ceiling, and then Wang Lin no longer paid any heed to it. Comprehension couldn't be done in a short period of time. When he withdraws that wisp of origin soul in the future, he will obtain all the comprehension gained over the years. Restriction essence. Wang Lin looked at the strange fog where countless symbols were flickering. This was the restriction essence, and it had accompanied him from back in the land of the ancient god. After silently pondering for a while, Wang Lin remembered that his teacher, Xian, had taken him to several places. He had obtained a large amount of restrictions, and they would be of great use to strengthen his restriction essence. He let out a sigh and pointed at this five-element true body. The five-element true body looked at Wang Lin and his eyes lit up. Then the five-element true body split into 5 rays of light and flew into the restriction essence. It was going to replace Wang Lin in integrating the large amount of restrictions into the restriction essence. In the end, Wang Lin looked at the slaughter thunder essence. The slaughter essence was the most important and most elusive essence he had. Slaughter. When he first appeared, he called himself Slaughter. The ancient Dao imperial teacher also knows this avatar. Wang Lin's expression was complicated. He had his own speculations, only they were buried deep inside his heart. Slaughter is an immortal body. It represents destruction and therefore can't be erased. This slaughter essence is only at completion, so it can't form an essence true body yet. I don't know if what I'm doing is right or wrong. Wang Lin hesitated. I have been suppressing this slaughter essence. It was born when I fused it with thunder, then I used restriction to balance it out. Then it was fused with absolute end, making it stronger, so I used absolute beginning to balance it out once more. As a result, if they all reach essence true bodies, everything should reach a balance. Besides, I have other methods. Wang Lin muttered to himself before revealing a decisive gaze. At his moment he could not hesitate. If he wanted to increase his cultivation level, he would have to do this. Staring at the slaughter essence and the thunder essence true body, Wang Lin made up his mind. The thunder essence true body opened his eyes and inhaled the slaughter essence. The thunder around his body suddenly changed to black. Slaughter thunder descended once more. Looking at this strange essence true body, Wang Lin's eyes shined brightly. His hands formed a seal and he pointed at this essence true body. The slaughter thunder essence true body flew toward Wang Lin and overlapped with him. Wang Lin was using his own body's countless years of slaughter to nourish this slaughter essence. During this process, there was still an overlapping shadow on Wang Lin, as if it was very difficult to fuse. But Wang Lin was not surprised. It was as if he had already anticipated this. His hands continued to form seals and then he pointed at his own body. Every time he pointed, the overlapping shadow would disappear a bit. As he continued, sweat appeared on his forehead and his expression was very heavy. After an unknown amount of time had passed, when he pointed for the last time, His slaughter thunder essence had fully integrated with his body without any overlapping shadows. Then he bit the tip of his tongue and spat out a mouthful of blood. He waved his right hand and the blood turned into runes that all landed on Wang Lin's body. Blood refine. Wang Lin roared before he closed his eyes and remained motionless. While he was strengthening the slaughter essence in order to prevent future accidents, he was going to refine slaughter again. This was not the first time he was going to refine this slaughter thunder. The first time was when he accidentally created it. Time passed. Time left no trace, and without feeling anything, the years passed one by one. When the immemorial God realm appeared, the undercurrent across the immortal astral continent became more silent. However, this simply created a pressure that shrouded the entire immortal astral continent. The sects of the various celestial clans all became silent, and there was a rare moment of peace. All of them were gathering their power for when the immemorial God realm opened. Any sect with power felt that after this period of suppression, a long war that would last for hundreds of years between the celestial clan and the ancient clan would begin. During this battle, even Grand Empyreans may fall. As for the Ascendant Empyreans and Empyrean exalts of the various sects, some would disappear and some would become famous. In the ancient clan it was the same. The three royal families followed the order of Grand Empyrean Gu Dao and prepared for war. They could all feel the pressure, and their respective Grand Empyreans had gone into closed-door cultivation. In the ancient Dao, Luochun had become the new emperor. However, as the new emperor, he was not familiar with the entire ancient Dao. He would need time to adapt before he could truly possess everything. During this process, Holy Emperor Yi Wei temporarily replaced the current emperor in dealing with the ancient Dao. As for Xian Luo, after appointing Luochun as the emperor, he had gone into closed-door cultivation. He was close to his reincarnation and had to face the opening of the immemorial God realm. Now was not the best time to reincarnate. He had to suppress it and wait for everything to calm down before reincarnating. The ancient Shur was facing a similar problem. The old emperor was getting old, and according to the ancient agreement, unless Grand Empyrean Gu Dao allowed it, he would have to abdicate his position to his descendants. Now there were still 100 years or so before he would have to abdicate his position. He remained silent as he had no right to choose, so all the princes had set their sights on Grand Empyrean Song Tian. Jidu had gone to meet Grand Empyrean Song Tian many times but was stopped outside the origin mountain every time. The time was approaching, and once Grand Empyrean Song Tian made his decision, it would be too late. At this moment there were three people sitting inside Prince Jidu's palace. One of them was Jidu. He was frowning and looking very anxious. There was a young woman beside him. She occasionally looked at Jidu with anxiety in her eyes as well. Brother, Senior Wang Lin has been in closed-door cultivation for 100 years. The date of father's abdication is getting closer and closer. According to customs, a new emperor will be chosen 100 years before the abdication. In terms of time, it should be decided in these several years. If you don't ask Senior Wang Lin for help, I'm afraid it will be too late. The young woman sighed. She was the young woman who was beside Jidu back then, and then later married one of the geniuses of the ancient Shur. He was considered the strongest member of the new generation and was a close ally of Jidu. He said beside the young woman and coldly looked at all of this. Rumor has it that this senior is supposed to be the 10th son, but after he left the ancient Dao, he immediately went into closed-door cultivation. He seems to be injured. Can he really make Lord Song change his mind? The person who spoke was the young man in purple, the woman's husband. Royal brother. The woman became even more anxious. Prince Jidu struggled for a long time before he let out a sigh and deceivingly said, "There's no need to talk about this. Godfather said to not disturb him." This? The young woman bit her lower lip. After seeing Jidu's decisive gaze, she swallowed her words. Only the young man in the purple robe revealed a sneer. Apparently, only he didn't think that Wang Lin was as terrifying as the rumors claimed. Even if Godfather doesn't come out, I have prepared for 100 years and I can still try. Chi-man. And my royal older brother were to die. Would Lord Song still pick a dead man as the next emperor? There was a flash of coldness in Jidu's eyes. After he spoke, the entire hall became cold and the young woman's heart trembled as if she wanted to say something, but she could only smile bitterly. This royal brother of hers had changed too much in the past 100 years, and this made her feel estranged. The hall was completely silent. Even the young man in purple had become silent after hearing Jidu's words. He raised his head to speak, but just at this moment, a powerful pressure descended. When the pressure appeared, the world changed colors and a shocking change occurred. An indescribable aura came out of Wang Lin's chamber and shot into the sky. The originally clear sky seemed to collapse as large amounts of fragments scattered in all directions. A heavenly sign. It came from Godfather's closed-door cultivation chamber. Godfather has come out of closed-door cultivation. Jidu got up and was excited. Fog appeared in the sky and churned. It looked like a mushroom. Rumbles echoed as it spread out, covering the sky and causing the earth to darken. A powerful pressure spread out from the sky and shrouded the ground below. The earth began to tremble. If the earth had a soul, it would be trembling in fear due to the pressure. Aside from Prince Jidu and company, there were many guards in the palace. Their cultivations were not weak and some of them had become lords with 27 stars. However, at this moment as the pressure descended, the nearly 1,000 guards all turned pale and their bodies trembled. Popping sounds came from their bodies as if they could not bear the pressure. What did he cultivate during the last 100 years to produce such pressure? The expression of the purple-robed young man changed. Even with his cultivation level, he almost felt like he could not withstand it. As for the young woman, she could not stand up at all. She sat on the chair and sweat covered her forehead. Prince Jidu looked excited. He hadn't dared to disturb Wang Lin during the past 100 years, even when he faced a life-or-death crisis. He had gritted his teeth and endured through it, and now he could feel his godfather's Wang Lin's aura from this pressure. The fog in the sky continued to churn and a strange shadow appeared inside. The shadow was a red sun that gave off a burst of light. As the light spread, the fog churned and a thunderous rumble echoed. Then the fog spread endlessly. Prince Jidu's palace was shrouded in this fog. The countless people inside the palace found it difficult to resist the pressure, so they remained frozen, unable to move at all. In particular, the nearly 1,000 guards in the palace, who were too close to this pressure, all trembled and fear filled their hearts. Inside the palace, the purple-robed young man was soaked in sweat and most of his robe was soaked. His eyes filled with horror. He had seen Grand Emperor Xianxia, and not even before Xianxia did he feel this kind of fear. It was as if his life was under the control of this pressure. The rumors about this person from 100 years ago appeared in the mind of the purple-robed youth. The disrespect he had in his heart completely disappeared. A person who could give off this kind of pressure could compare to Grand Emperor Xianxia. As the pressure and fog enveloped the country far away, in the ancient Shur imperial city, there was a mountain with a large temple on top. This mountain was called Origin Mountain, and the peak of the mountain was shaped like a horn, making it seem as if the mountain was going to tear the heavens apart. The great temple was built at the end of the horn. This was the ancient Shur temple. It was one of the holy lands of the ancient Shur, second only to the ancestral temple, and where the people of the ancient Shur were taught. Normally, a large amount of people would come to visit, but today the temple was emitting a powerful pressure, preventing anyone from entering. There was a middle-aged man sitting at the other end of the horn. He was wearing a green robe and his hair extended to his waist. He was looking into the distance and his expression was slightly grim. Behind him there was another person. He was a rough-looking young man with a hint of ferociousness hidden inside. However, that ferociousness was gone and was replaced with shock as he looked into the distance. With his cultivation level, he normally would not have noticed the pressure from the distance. However, while standing behind the middle-aged man, he felt it through a strange method. "Teacher, this is..." the young man gasped. He saw that his teacher's expression was gloomy, and after he subconsciously spoke, he immediately swallowed his words. Aside from Wang Lin, who charged into the ancient Dao palace, killed the ancient Dao emperor, came to my ancient Shur, and chose to serve your brother, who else can it be? There was a flash of coldness in the middle-aged man's eyes. After hearing the name Wang Lin, the rough-looking youth gasped, and after pondering a bit, he suddenly spoke. "Teacher still hasn't chosen disciple as the emperor because of this person?" The middle-aged man coldly snorted. Your teacher has seen this Wang Lin once before, when Xian Luo brought him here. His cultivation is not weak and his combat power is extraordinary, but he is still not worthy of my attention. The reason he could break into the ancient Dao palace and retreat is because Xian Luo didn't act. He killed the ancient Dao emperor, but Grand Emperor Gu Dao didn't say a word. This matter is most puzzling, and is the reason your teacher hasn't chosen a future emperor in a hurry. The person who your teacher cares about is not that person, but Grand Emperor Gu Dao. As for that person, he is not worthy of my consideration. The middle-aged man looked into the distance and faintly felt the pressure. He was the ancient Shi's Grand Emperor Song Tian, and the youth behind him was the Prince Qi man. The youth let out a sigh of relief and then asked, after hesitating a bit, "Teacher, Wang Lin coming out of closed-door cultivation after 100 years means that his cultivation level has increased, or else he wouldn't oppose to be able to release such pressure." The middle-aged man didn't speak, but his pupils shrank an undetectable amount. He pondered for a while longer before he spoke. He is fusing his essence true bodies. His essence true bodies are extraordinary and he wants to fully integrate them, but it will be very difficult. However, he has decided to stay in the ancient Shi and fuse his essence true bodies without notifying me first. He is not giving me any face and he is getting involved in the competition for the ancient Shi emperor. I'll have to teach him a lesson. Although the middle-aged man was worried about Grand Emperor Gu Dao, he was still a Grand Emperor. He was also the ancient Shi guardian and had the right to deal with anything he believed to be a threat to the ancient Shi. There was a flash of coldness in his eyes and the middle-aged raised his right hand. He formed a seal and pointed toward the direction of the pressure Wang Lin was releasing. "Release the seal." As he muttered this, there was a flash of ghostly light on his right hand. At the same time, at the center of the ancient clan, at Mount Gu Dao, a figure covered in fog was sitting at the top of the tower. The figure opened his eyes and looked toward the direction of the ancient Shi. After a long time, the figure muttered to himself, "Essence true body fusion?" His words were calm and didn't show any hint of emotion. As the fog shrouded Prince Jidu's palace, a sun appeared in the sky, and the world soon changed colors and turned into night. In a short period of time, the sky alternated between night and day. After 9 times, lines appeared inside the fog and formed symbols. Each of them contained the power of the restriction essence. Several hours slowly passed. During these several hours, more and more restrictions appeared and the alternation of night and day became even more frequent, but there was no sign of fusion. There were even signs of instability. As the night and day alternated, the sky began to weaken, and even the large amount of restrictions showed signs of disappearing. Just at this moment, a shocking howl echoed as 5 rays of light flew out of the palace. It was impossible to see what was inside the 5 lights, but they gathered into one in the sky to form a shadow. The shadow looked exactly like Wang Lin. However, it was not Wang Lin's original body, but his 5-element true body. It floated there like an illusion and was only the size of an ordinary person. However, he inhaled and the power of the world rushed toward him like crazy. Then the 5-element true body expanded until it was 1,000 feet tall. This power of the world was the power of the 5 elements of the world. The 1,000-foot true body inhaled once more. The earth trembled, heavenly fire appeared. A rainy haze followed, the grass withered, and even the heavenly metal moved. The power of the 5 elements were inhaled into his mouth. Thunderous rumbles echoed and the 1,000 feet shadow expanded once more into a 10,000-foot giant. The 10,000-foot 5-element true body spread out his arms. At the same time, the alternating of day and night became smooth and the restrictions no longer showed signs of dissipating. However, just as restriction, absolute beginning, and absolute end showed signs of stabilizing, a brutal roar came from the depths of the earth. This howl contained madness and shocking power. It caused the hearts of all the ancient Shi members to tremble and panic. The moment the roar echoed, Prince Jidu inside the palace trembled and coughed out a mouthful of blood. Shock appeared in his eyes. "It's Luo Ho." The young man in purple turned pale. When he heard about Luo Ho, he thought about a rumor about Prince Jidu. It was rumored that when this prince was born, there was a heavenly sign, only it was a vicious sign. It was concealed by the royal family and dispelled by the imperial teacher. Not many people knew about it, But during the last 100 years, for some unknown reason, the rumor began to spread again in the ancient Shi. Rumor had it that the reason Prince Jidu had built his palace in the Luoho country was that the fierce beast sealed under this country was the Luoho. As for why Jidu was here, he played a role in suppressing the Luoho and could also nourish himself on the Luoho's aura. This was something arranged by the imperial teacher before he died. The roar became even more intense. Shortly after, a giant shadow appeared in the distance. It was a round meatball that only had a huge eye. It revealed ferociousness and madness, and its body was illusory. At this moment, it stared at Wang Lin's five-element true body above the palace. There was a flash of greed on its eyes. This round meatball was the Luoho. The round meatball's body was illusory, and after it appeared, it was surrounded by black gas. It let out a howl and flew toward Wang Lin's five-element true body. As it approached, its howl became even more sharp. Just as it closed in, Wang Lin was still sitting inside the secret chamber and his right hand was still raised. In his right hand sat a small person who was also cultivating. Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes. After 100 years of time, Wang Lin was not the same as before. His expression was calm, and the moment he opened his eyes, the little person in his right palm also opened its eyes. Its eyes were filled with intelligence, and there was a flash of divination in them. In Wang Lin's palm, the little person knelt down and kowtowed toward him. After 9 kowtows, Wang Lin closed his right palm and the little person disappeared without a trace. The Soul Eye Dao is indeed mysterious. Wang Lin muttered as he looked up and revealed a sneer. 20 years ago, I used this spell to divinate a chance to completely fuse my Slaughter Thunder Essence true body. After countless tries, I found that I needed the soul of a ferocious beast. However, this soul will give me a chance to completely fuse this Slaughter Thunder Essence true body. I divinated that on the day that I try to fuse my essence true bodies, someone will personally deliver it. This soul indeed came. Wang Lin raised his hand and pointed at the sky. With this, the entire sky changed drastically. The alternation of day and night suddenly stopped and even the countless restrictions stopped flickering. Even the five-element true body stopped. The Luohua that had been roaring and had rushed over suddenly paused and even stopped roaring. It seemed to be frozen in place, and while its eye was still ferocious, even this ferociousness seemed to be frozen. Stop spell. When used with Wang Lin's current cultivation level, its power was shocking. When the Luohua was stopped, the alternation of day and night returned to normal, the restriction essence true body recovered, and the five-element true body recovered. Immediately after, the countless restrictions rushed into the stopped Luohua and entered its illusory body. Endless light flashed, and after absorbing all the restrictions, it shrank a bit. The ferociousness dissipated and was replaced by an illusory figure. This figure was blurry, but it soon condensed into Wang Lin. This figure that looked exactly like Wang Lin revealed a smile and walked out of the eye. As it stood there, it released a powerful restriction essence aura. This was the restriction essence true body Wang Lin had formed by borrowing the power of this fierce beast. At the same time, the rising sun shot out from the alternating sky and entered the illusory body of the Luohua. The Luohua's body shrank once more and another human-shaped shadow appeared. The shadow shined brightly like the sun and smiled as it formed. It walked out from the eye and stood next to the restriction essence. This body was the absolute beginning true body Wang Lin had condensed over the last 100 years by using his flowing time spell combined with the Dao Wang clan's ability to create their own world. The purpose of this was to recreate countless cycles of day and night. Shortly after, the absolute end essence, which represented the dark night, flew out into the eye. The body of the Luohua shrank to only half its original size when the third essence true body walked out. Absolute end essence true body. Over the past 100 years, Wang Lin had used flowing time and the Dao Wang clan spell to strengthen his absolute beginning and absolute end essences to the point of forming an essence true body. However, he could not fully integrate these special essences, so he had divinated and decided to borrow the power of the Luohua to attempt it. The 5 true essence bodies all absorbed the soul of the fierce beast. They were borrowing the mutual attraction of the beast's soul to try to integrate together. Inside the secret chamber, after Wang Lin's restriction, absolute beginning, and absolute end essence true bodies had appeared. A strange lightning spread across his body. Another overlapping shadow appeared as his Slaughter Thunder Essence true body flew up into the sky from the secret chamber. When the Slaughter Thunder Essence true body flew into the sky, the black thunder spread out, creating a thunderous rumble. After 100 years of nourishment and a second refining, this Slaughter Thunder and I have become inseparable. There are no more signs of it defecting. The Slaughter Essence has also reached the point of forming an Essence true body. Whether all 5 true bodies can fuse into one will depend on this. Wang Lin's expression was serious as his hands formed seals and his powerful divine sense shrouded the world. The Slaughter Thunder body rushed toward the sealed Luohua and entered its body. The Luohua's body trembled violently and shrank rapidly until it disappeared, leaving behind only the huge eye. The eye was dim and from a distance it looked like an egg. After one incense stick of time, countless cracks appeared on it until it exploded. Then figures walked out. One was the Thunder Essence true body, which had formed an Essence true body a long time ago. The other had a head of black hair. It was the cold and indifferent Slaughter Essence true body. After this Essence true body appeared, it calmly looked at the sky and a shocking aura spread out. This was a destructive aura that represented destruction and slaughter. "I am Slaughter," the black-haired Wang Lin muttered. He lowered his head and his gaze swept past everyone. When the guards on the ground were swept by the gaze, they all let out miserable screams. This was not because of pain or death, but from fear. A sense of fear that came from the soul. Inside the hall, the purple-robed young man trembled and his mind was filled with fear. Even Prince Ji-du was trembling, filled with fear. "I am called Slaughter." The black-haired Wang Lin looked up and roared at the sky, but at this moment, a cold snort came from the palace. When the cold snort entered the ears of the black-haired Wang Lin, his roar stopped. His face revealed pain and madness. Taking advantage of this moment, the Thunder Essence true body flew toward the black-haired Wang Lin and fused with him. This caused the black thunder in the area to lash out. Shortly after, the Restriction Essence true body's eyes shined and his body turned into countless restrictions. He created a restriction storm and fused with the black-haired Wang Lin's body. At the same time, the Absolute Beginning and Absolute End Essence true bodies both silently walked out. They turned into 2 rays of light, black and white, and fused with the black-haired Wang Lin. "I am called Slaughter." The black-haired Wang Lin's grunts turned into a roar. For overlapping shadows appeared, seeming as if he was going to force the true bodies out of him. "No one can control me, I am Slaughter." As he roared, the overlapping shadows in his body were pushed out several inches. This looked very mysterious. A second cold snort came out. The black-haired Wang Lin trembled, and at the same time the 5-element true body appeared in the sky. The 5-element true body shrank and waved his hand. A huge palm of 5-element energy pressed down on the black-haired Wang Lin. "I am Slaughter." The black-haired Wang Lin looked up and released a destructive force. Just as he was about to struggle, a powerful pressure appeared around him. This pressure contained a powerful divine sense that pressed down on him. Also at this moment, the shadow of a Luohua appeared behind the black-haired Wang Lin. This Luohua shadow was in pieces, but countless black threads appeared and the pieces began to fuse. The overlapping shadows around the black-haired Wang Lin no longer spread out, but fused together. "Because you are my second true body, you are Slaughter. From now on, you will replace me in hunting down my enemies. You will spread my destructive intent and kill those that seek to harm me. Your name is Slaughter and you Dao name is Punishment." A powerful voice echoed in the world and the Luohua shadow behind the black-haired Wang Lin completely fused. The other 4 overlapping shadows also fully integrated and are now one. The pressure dissipated and the world returned to normal. The black-haired Wang Lin was still black-haired. He stood there and slowly raised his head. "I'm Punishment, Slaughter." This voice was calm and extremely cold. There was no emotion within, only indifference to the extreme. He represented Wang Lin's slaughter and destruction, which would make the heavens and earth tremble. It would make Wang Lin's enemies know fear. As he raised his head, his cold gaze looked into the distance and seemed to be able to cross endless distances. His gaze directly fell on tip of the Horn of Origin mountain, on the shocked Song Tian. "Not good." Song Tian's body trembled and he gasped. He subconsciously stood up and his expression changed. He grabbed Qi-Man and flew into the air before the horn he was sitting on collapsed on the Luohua continent. After a part of the Luohua's soul was devoured by Wang Lin, Prince Jidu coughed out a large mouthful of blood inside the hall. After he coughed out this mouthful of blood, an invisible seal inside his body collapsed and was broken. Prince Jidu's eyes revealed a strange light, and he could feel a power awakening inside his body. This power filled his body and made him close his eyes. Outside the temple, the black-haired Wang Lin withdrew his gaze from Origin Mountain. His gaze was extremely cold and ruthless. Beside him was Wang Lin's five-element true body. Although these two true bodies looked the same, the feeling they each gave off was completely different. The five-element true body represented Wang Lin's life of cultivation. It would give people a gentle but powerful pressure of someone strong. The slaughter essence true body represented Wang Lin's life of slaughter. It would make one's heart feel cold and not dare to get close. A moment later, a calm voice came from the secret chamber and echoed across the world. True body return. The five-element true body looked down at the secret chamber and turned into a ray of five-colored light that disappeared into the earth. As for the slaughter essence true body, it also didn't hesitate at all. Its black hair and black robe fluttered in the air as it slowly walked toward the earth. Its body turned into black strands and dissipated. Inside the secret chamber, Wang Lin sat down. The five-element true body and slaughter essence true body were standing before him. He looked at the two essence true bodies with a solemn expression. 100 years of cultivation to finally form this slaughter essence true body. I wonder if my cultivation take a step past peak void turbulent after it fuses with my original body. If my cultivation level can increase again, perhaps I can completely expel the ancestral curse in the Celestial Emperor's soul and take control of it. Wang Lin took a deep breath and drew his gaze from his true bodies. He looked at the soul being burned by his soul fire in the middle of the room. Over these past 100 years of refining, the gray color of decay had been condensed into the size of a baby's fist, but it could not be expelled completely. My cultivation path is completely different from that of others. After peak void turbulent, there are Empyrean exalts and ascendant Empyreans, but these were added by others and in reality both are part of peak void turbulent. And every time my cultivation level increases, it is based on the division of realms. Wang Lin was suddenly filled with expectation. He wanted to know what his cultivation level would be after taking a step past peak void turbulent. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with excitement as he muttered, Grand Empyrean. Or would it be? Or would it be the fourth step? But does the fourth step really exist in this world? Could the ancient ancestor and celestial ancestor have been at the fourth step? Wang Lin's eyes shined and he felt expectation in his heart. He raised his right hand and the five-element true body walked forward. It overlapped with Wang Lin and completely fused with him. When the five-element true body returned, Wang Lin's white hair flowed without any wind and his cultivation erupted. At this instant he reached peak void turbulent, and after 100 years of closed-door cultivation, he was filled with power. This was him in peak condition. Looking at the black-haired slaughter essence true body, Wang Lin clenched his teeth and revealed a decisive gaze. He pointed at the slaughter essence true body, and the true body looked up at him with its indifferent gaze as it walked over. In the blink of an eye, the slaughter essence true body closed in on Wang Lin. It didn't stop until it started overlapping with him. It overlapped with Wang Lin completely, and then they began to slowly fuse. As the fusion went on, confusion gradually appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. At the same time, his cultivation level increased at an indescribable rate, and the world changed colors. Wang Lin's cultivation seemed to have broken through a bottleneck, and was still rapidly ascending toward a mysterious realm. During this process, his cultivation level instantly surpassed the so-called Empyrean Exalt stage, and soon climbed to the so-called Ascendant Empyrean stage. This continued with no sign of stopping. Wang Lin's eyes became even more confused, as if he was going to lose his mind. Everything felt like an illusion. As his cultivation level continued to increase, it went beyond Ascendant Empyrean, rising toward another boundary. This was the boundary of a Grand Empyrean. After an unknown amount of time, the Slaughter Thunder Essence True Body and Wang Lin were almost fully fused, though a bit of overlapping remained. It looked like they were about to fuse completely. Wang Lin's eyes released a silver light and were filled with confusion. Finally, he felt a rumble in his mind and felt like his soul had left his body. His soul left his body, left the chamber, and appeared in the sky. The sky was not blue and there was no sun, moon, or stars. At this moment, only Wang Lin's soul existed. He looked down on the earth to find that it was covered in a white fog. This made it so he could not see the earth. He looked at the sky. The sky was obscured by thin lines that seemed to contain their own laws. This is the sky. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with confusion. He could not see the sky, only the fine lines. Even when he used his full power, he could only see countless fine lines without any end. With confusion in his eyes, Wang Lin wanted to fly out. He had a vague feeling that if he could step out of these endless lines, he could take the step past peak void turbulent. This step would be an ascension, a metamorphosis where one break out of their shell and transform into a butterfly. This feeling was extremely strong, as if it came from the depths of his soul. After silently pondering for a moment, Wang Lin suddenly looked up. Although his eyes were filled with confusion, there was even more determination. He charged at the endless fine lines. He moved very fast. Even though he could not feel it clearly, he rushed into the sea of fine lines. He allowed the lines to surround him, but he continued forward. After an unknown amount of time, Wang Lin saw a bridge appear before him in this endless sea of fine lines. To be more accurate, this wasn't one bridge, but 9 bridges. After this bridge, there was one that looked like a rainbow, and after that, there was another rainbow-like bridge. They expanded into the vast space and gave off an ancient aura that made it seem like they had existed since the world was born. After the distant 9th bridge, there was an illusory image that looked like another world, and he could vaguely see a few figures inside. However, when Wang Lin took a closer look, he couldn't see a thing. It was completely blurry. Heaven-trampling bridge. Wang Lin muttered to himself. Then he looked at a huge stone tablet before the first bridge. There were 3 large words engraved on this stone tablet. These words were very strange. Wang Lin had never seen them before, but the moment he looked at them, the meaning of these words appeared in his mind. On the stone tablet, aside from these 3 words, there was a row of smaller words. Wang Lin silently looked over. Trample the heavenly path, void extinction Tao, immortal soul worshipped by all. Wang Lin went into a trance. He vaguely remembered that if there was still a 4th step, its name was heaven trampling. After standing outside the first bridge for a long time, the confusion in Wang Lin's eyes disappeared. His eyes shined brightly and he walked toward the first bridge. Step by step, the first bridge looked very close, but it took a few hours to get there. When Wang Lin was before the first bridge, he finally saw the entirety of it. This bridge was an illusion without any substance. It could be seen but couldn't be felt by divine sense. The ancient aura coming from it was not something that could be created by humans. Heaven-trampling bridge. Wang Lin raised his right hand to touch the bridge, but his hand easily went through it. He was startled for a moment and he carefully looked at his right hand. There were some crystal-clear particles of light in his hand. Each particle contained powerful vitality, and they all flew back toward the first bridge. Wang Lin closed his eyes and stood there for half an incense stick of time. He suddenly opened his eyes and raised his foot to talk toward the first heaven-trampling bridge. The moment he stepped onto the bridge, he could clearly feel that his soul body was undergoing a transformation, as if a large amount of laws of the world had become clear to him. He had never felt this before, and he stood motionless on the bridge. After a long time, Wang Lin let out a deep breath and looked at the bridge with a strange gaze. He stepped forward step by step. When he arrived at the end of the first bridge, the changes in the law of the world had been engraved in his heart and could not be erased. Looking at the distance, the vague, illusory picture at the end of the 9th bridge became a bit more clear. It seemed to be a beautiful place, but the human figures were still blurry. He couldn't even tell how many people there were. While silently pondering, Wang Lin walked down from the bridge and went toward the second heaven-trampling bridge. He had a strong feeling that if he could walk past all 9 bridges and see the illusory scene at the end, he could break past the 3rd step and enter the legendary heaven-trampling realm. The first and second bridges looked very close, but Wang Lin flew for several days before he arrived at the second bridge. This bridge was several times larger than the first bridge. Wang Lin didn't hesitate to step onto the second bridge. The moment his foot landed, his whole body trembled as if it was going to collapse. It was as if his cultivation wasn't qualified to step on this bridge. A rumble echoed and Wang Lin felt his mind explode and the world seemed to spin. His divine sense and soul seemed to separate. He vaguely saw that there was a continent below the fog, and it was very familiar. On the left side there were 72 continents, and on the right there were 36 countries. At the center was a vast basin where the sea was rotating rapidly. In the depths of the sea, he saw 9 large pillars connected to form the shape of a door. The door was closed and not opened. Heaven trampling. Am I heaven trampling right now? Wang Lin could not feel his own existence as he looked at the earth below. He silently pondered as he looked toward the direction of the celestial clan. The 72 continents suddenly changed into 72 souls roaring at the sky. This included the heavenly bull, green devil scorpion, and many of the sealed beasts he had read about. The beasts seemed to notice Wang Lin's gaze and they all roared. Wang Lin could clearly feel their fear, but he could also feel the other intent behind the fear. At the same time as when Wang Lin entered the legendary realm after Void Turbulent, the 72 continents in the celestial clan began to tremble. This trembling increased and could be felt by all the cultivators. They were all confused and didn't know what was happening. However, on any continent with a suppression temple, the temple was the center of the trembling. The trembling became even more intense and caught the attention of the powerful people of the celestial clan. They flew into the air in shock and looked at the earth to see the respective souls of their continents show signs of instability. The earth trembled violently, and the incredible scene of them appearing occurred. On the Heavenly Bull continent, a giant heavenly bull appeared and shrouded the entire continent, roaring toward the sky. Its eyes were filled with excitement and fear, but even more so a plea. It was pleading to the strange existence it felt in the sky so it would be free. Along with the heavenly bull, even more of the 72 souls suppressed in the celestial clan appeared one after another. Even some of those that had been rumored to be dead souls appeared. Although their figures were a blue, the fearful pleading toward the sky was equally shocking. Almost all the cultivators in the celestial clan saw this heaven-shattering scene. They were in a dance in panic. The earth trembled even more violently as the souls that appeared continued to roar, and it looked like a calamity was going to descend. What happened? Inside the Dao-Yi sect, Grand Emperor Dao-Yi flew into the sky, and his expression was gloomy. There was even a trace of panic on his face. With his cultivation level, he could clearly feel the shocking events taking place across all 72 continents in the celestial clan. He stared ahead at the towering tree coming from the Mountain Sea continent. The tree moved and let out sharp roars. Dao-Yi looked at the giant tree and gasped. Damn it! Wasn't that foreign monster tree dead? Why is the soul still there? What happened? Could there be a problem with Lian Daofei, who is suppressing them under the palace? At the same time in the northern continent, Wu Feng looked at the ice giant with a gloomy expression and a trace of horror. In the purple Yang sect's Grand Emperor Gemini flew out, looked at the earth and frowned. In the ancestral city, Grand Emperor Jodi stood on top of Mount Emperor. He looked at the earth and his expression remained the same, but the contraction of his pupils revealed his shock. Behind Jodi, Haizi opened her eyes. There is no problem with the underground palace, and Lian Daofei is still sleeping. He continues to suppress the 72 souls. Did you divinate the result? What exactly happened? Even those who have been pretending to be dead howled as if they sensed something. Jodi's voice was cold, but there was a trace of fear in his heart. He looked up at the sky but could not see anything. However, the 72 souls were clearly pleading toward the sky. Haizi silently pondered and her hands formed seals. A small person appeared in her right palm and started to kowtow toward her. However, Haizi's eyebrows were locked and she found nothing. Her eyes lit up as she bit the tip of her tongue and spat out a mouthful of blood. The blood fell on the small person and the little person was immediately covered in blood. It let out a miserable scream as it continued to kowtow toward Haizi. This time Haizi's body trembled and she staggered back as her face turned pale. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. They felt a heaven-trampling gaze looking down upon them from above the immortal astral continent. What? Jodi's expression changed and he could no longer hide his emotions. He looked up at the sky sharply and he felt his hair stand up. Aside from the sky, he could not see anything, but he could imagine a gaze looking down on the immortal astral continent at this moment, perhaps even looking at him. Heaven trampling. This. Jodi's body trembled and his cultivation seemed to go out of control. He went from an old man to middle-aged, then back to an old man. This was enough to show the shock in his heart. Wang Lin looked at the celestial clan, at the 72 souls filled with fear but crying in plea. He also saw the shock of Dao Yi, the horror of Wu Feng, the confusion of Gemini, and the gaze from Jodi. He saw them, but they could not feel his existence. When Wang Lin looked down on the ancestral city, his gaze swept by Jodi. This was also when Jodi looked up and felt his hair stand up. He saw Haizi. He saw Lian Daofei, who had turned into a mountain under the palace. On top of Mount Emperor, Jodi's expression became pale. Then he flew into the sky and bowed. Junior Zhou Luozhou greets Senior. If Senior has any requests, Junior will do as Senior commands. Ever since he had become a Grand Empyrean, he had never bowed to anyone like this. However, at this moment, he was filled with fear and he respectfully bowed at the sky. However, he didn't get any reply until the 72 souls' cries became despair. Their pleading became stronger, to the point where they finally dissipated. The earth no longer trembled and Haizi spoke softly. That person has left. When Jodi heard this, he still remained bowing for another incense stick of time before he got up and descended with a pale expression. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze from the celestial clan. When he saw the heavenly bull and Lian Daofei, he wanted to save them but he could not. While silently pondering, he looked toward the ancient clan. When he looked over, an uproar similar to the celestial clan was occurring at the ancient clan. The earth trembled as the 36 souls in the 36 countries all appeared. This included the Luohua that had part of its soul devoured by Wang Lin. The Luohua appeared completely. Its head was a giant meatball shaped like a cultivation planet. Its tail was like a dragon's tail, and there wasn't only one but 9. It howled at the sky as it pled for help. Xian Luo awakened from his closed-door cultivation. He looked at what was happening and gasped. The ancient Shur Song Tian stared at the changes in the 36 countries and was dumbfounded. Could this be related to that Wang Lin? Impossible. Such a shocking scene can't possibly be related to that person. In the ancient Ji, the mysterious Grand Empyrean was in his closed-door cultivation location, and gloomily felt this change. Wang Lin saw all of this, and his gaze finally fell on Mount Gudao. He looked at the top of the tower and the figure covered in fog. A sigh came from the figure. He opened his eyes, which were completely calm. When he looked up at the sky, he seemed to see Wang Lin's gaze. The moment their gazes met, Wang Lin felt that the strongest person in the immortal astral continent had indeed seen him. The figure inside the fog slowly said, "You finally reached this level. Which bridge are you on now?" Wang Lin silently pondered and then sent out a divine sense. "The second bridge. What about you?" With his current cultivation level, he still could not see Grand Empyrean Gudao's appearance. "Many years ago, I passed the 5th bridge and was stopped at the 6th bridge." Wang Lin calmly asked, "Is the 4th step beyond the 9th bridge?" The figure inside the fog whispered, "I don't know. Throughout the ages, no one has passed the 9th bridge." "No one? What about the ancient ancestor and celestial ancestor? They all passed the 8th bridge and stopped on the 9th bridge. What kind of place is this heaven-trampling bridge?" Wang Lin asked about his doubt. The immortal astral continent is very large, but outside the immortal astral continent, there are many more continents. From what I understand, the heaven-trampling bridge is a common path for all living beings. Grand Empyrean Gudao sighed. There was a hint of confusion in his words. Perhaps not even he himself was sure about this. Wang Lin silently pondered and slowly withdrew his gaze. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze from the heaven-trampling scene. The last thing he looked at was the vast sea between the celestial clan and ancient clan, mainly the 9 pillars that formed the door to the immemorial god realm. However, even with his cultivation level, he still could not clearly see the immemorial god realm. It was as if the immemorial god realm was far beyond Wang Lin's current abilities. Wang Lin gazed at the stormy sea, and after a long time he closed his eyes. The moment he closed his eyes, his gaze disappeared from the immortal astral continent. When he opened his eyes again, he was still in this unknown place and on the huge second bridge. However, when he looked down, he found that although he was still on the second bridge, he was almost on the other side now. It was as if everything from before had taken place in the few moments it had taken him to cross the bridge. It was impossible to distinguish if it was a dream or reality. Looking at the heaven-trampling bridge, looking at the third, fourth, until the ninth bridge, and looking at the blurry image beyond the ninth bridge, he couldn't help but feel like it was all so far away. Even his heart felt distant, as if the bridges represented an unattainable peak that made anyone who looked at it want to stop. The moment this thought surfaced, it amplified infinitely until it filled Wang Lin's body. It was as if a voice was telling him to turn back and leave this place, to stop and not attempt to cross the remaining 7 bridges. Wang Lin stood at the edge of the second bridge. He only needed to take one step to walk down the second bridge to completely cross it. However, after a long time, he still seemed unable to take the last step. Time slowly passed for a long time. Wang Lin still stood there and calmly looked ahead. He let out a sigh as he raised his right foot and stepped past the second heaven-trampling bridge. Is it to question oneself? If one's heart were not strong, if one didn't have a heaven-defying will, if one didn't have the persistence to go on, perhaps they would have retreated on that step. Wang Lin murmured to himself as he walked toward the third bridge. The third bridge was very far and very close, but Wang Lin walked for 3 days and he still didn't arrive at the bridge. He walked for 3 more days and it was the same. 3 more days passed and the bridge still looked very far and very close. On the 9th day, Wang Lin stopped. After pondering for a moment, he suddenly looked up. His eyes revealed a strange gaze and then he slowly closed them. He didn't need to look with his divine sense or his eyes. He sealed his vision and divine sense, so he wouldn't look at the direction or location of the third bridge. He then casually walked forward. He walked forward step by step, and on the 9th step, he heard the sound of birds chirping around him. The soft light seemed to penetrate his eyelids. He smelled the aroma of earth and also that familiar breath and aura. It was the smell of wood chips and the spiciness of tobacco. His steps stopped. Taiju, how is your studying? Taiju, you have to study well. Next year will be the county exam. Whether you will have a future or not will depend on it. Don't end up like me, who is stuck in this village for life. Enough, you keep nagging him every day. I say our Taiju can definitely pass the exam. These were the voices of his father and mother. These voices seemed to cross thousands of years to reach Wang Lin's ears. They were so real and seemed to bring Wang Lin back to the quiet mountain village from thousands of years ago. Wang Lin silently stood there and listened to the voices of his father and mother. Tears unconsciously flowed down from his eyes. There was a voice echoing in his heart, telling him to open his eyes to look at his father and mother. However, at the same time, Wang Lin also knew that if he opened his eyes, he would stop on the third heaven-trampling bridge. The first bridge fused the law of the world into one's origin soul. The second bridge allowed one to get the view of heaven trampling but question whether their heart was strong enough. Wang Lin hadn't understood the question at the end of the second bridge at first and was hesitant, but now he understood. This third bridge was likely one's inner demons. If one's heart was determined and their life could flash by while their heart remained calm, then they would be able to walk past the third bridge. But once that person opened their eyes, they would need to face their inner demons, face their own life. As a result, the chances of passing the third bridge would infinitely decrease. The voices of his mother and father were still beside his ears as tears flowed down Wang Lin's face, and he didn't hesitate at all to open his eyes. Before him, he saw the familiar house, familiar yard, familiar table, and the familiar food on the table. He saw his father, who was emptying his pipe on the side. He saw his father's wrinkled face and stern eyes, but also the gentle affection behind those stern eyes. He saw his mother walk out with the freshly cooked food from the house. There were some white hairs on her head. There weren't many, and were mostly hidden by her black hair, but Wang Lin saw them. His mother might not have been beautiful to outsiders, but in Wang Lin's heart, his mother was the most beautiful woman and forever a shelter from the wind in his heart. Looking at his father and mother and the familiar scenes, although tears were flowing down, he smiled. He watched everything before him slowly dissipate into the void. He knew it was all fake, but he still had to take a look. When this scene broke, Wang Lin was still standing below the second bridge and was far from the third bridge. His father and mother were not cultivators, and mortals couldn't be resurrected. For them, the best place to be was the reincarnation cycle. However, Wang Lin's memories were eternal, and he will not erase them, as they were more important than his life. If one heir had appeared, would I have opened my eyes even though I knew it was fake? But when father and mother appeared, even though I knew it was fake, I still opened my eyes, Wang Lin muttered to himself. Who decided that one must close their eyes when facing the memories of their past and ignore these memories while maintaining a firm heart to not be affected by one's inner demons? Who decided that one must have a firm Tao heart to pass the third bridge? Who determined this was the only method of crossing this bridge? Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Family, love, and friendship are the most important things in my life. Why do I need to close my eyes? I want to keep my eyes open and see it all. I will open up my Tao heart and accommodate everything. Wang Lin took a deep breath and walked forward again. After 9 steps he saw his parents again, and after 9 more steps he saw Mu Bingmei, Li Qianmei, and Li Muwen. 9 more steps and he saw Wang Ping. He saw the poor child pull his clothes and seriously asked him to cultivate. He wanted to accompany his father for life. He didn't want to leave this world and leave his father alone. If his father was going to be alone, he hoped that his presence would exist beside his father. Wang Lin saw Situnan, Qingshui, Duntian, the old vermilion bird, and a lot of people who had helped him. He looked at them with his eyes opened and walked forward. Big Head, Red Butterfly, Qingshuang, Zhou Qinglin, and many more people. Wang Lin seemed to recall his entire life as these people appeared. Along the way, Wang Lin didn't control his emotions. He cried, smiled, felt pain, felt sadness. He continued to walk forward for a long time. He didn't know when he had stepped onto the third bridge, but when he arrived at the end of the third bridge, everything disappeared. He stood there and sighed. He looked back for a long time before he walked off the third bridge. The fourth bridge was far away, and even further away the illusion at the end of the ninth bridge had become a bit more clear. Wang Lin still could not see through the fog, but he could vaguely tell that there were 2 people inside. Wang Lin walked forward with the memories he had just recalled and all the emotions he felt. A few days later he arrived before the fourth heaven trampling bridge. This bridge was even larger than the ones before it, like a huge behemoth in this space. A hint of pressure spread out, shrouding the area. Wang Lin looked at this bridge, and after pondering a bit, he raised his foot. However, when his foot landed, it penetrated the bridge and stepped onto nothing. At the same time, the fourth bridge suddenly trembled before Wang Lin and turned into countless specks of light. The specks of light all rushed toward him and formed a giant vortex that devoured Wang Lin's figure. The moment Wang Lin was devoured, in the secret chamber in Prince Jidu's palace, Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes were filled with confusion for a long time, and it lingered. His slaughter essence true body had fully integrated with his body, and there was no longer an overlapping shadow. The ethereal essences were floating before him, and the celestial emperor's soul was still surrounded by his soul fire. The secret chamber was silent. Only Wang Lin's slightly rough breathing slowly echoed. Trample the heavenly path, void extinction Tao, immortal soul worshipped by all. I only crossed 3 of the 9 heaven trampling bridges and stopped. Wang Lin took a deep breath and looked up. The confusion in his eyes dissipated and was replaced by determination. When Wang Lin opened his eyes inside the secret room, the figure covered in fog on top of the tower on Mount Gudao let out a sigh. There are. For 100 years. At the Celestial Clan, the 72 souls had calmed down after howling and begging at the sky. However, only Grand Emperor Jodi knew what had happened, and his heart was disturbed. He was cultivating, but he constantly looked at the sky with awe and longing in his eyes. In his entire life he longed for that legendary realm, but he still could not take that step. The reason Grand Emperor Gudao is the strongest Grand Emperor must be because he has taken that step. I don't know when I'll be able to as well. Jodi remained silent and he had a complicated expression for a long time before he let out a long sigh. On Mount Emperor, Hai Zi was standing at the top of the mountain in a white dress. Her clothes danced in the wind and there was hesitation and confusion in her eyes. During the previous divination, she felt a sense of familiarity. She hadn't told Jodi about this, as even she felt like it was just an illusion. In the ancient clan on Origin Mountain, outside the ancient Sure imperial capital, Grand Emperor Xianxia's face was pale. He looked into the distance with a complicated gaze, and it was unknown what he was thinking. Teacher. Xian's hesitant voice came from behind him. Shut up for me. Xian didn't turn around and interrupted Xian's words. He didn't want to listen to anything right now. He had to think about whether the upheaval in the 36 countries was related to Wang Lin. Although he didn't think there was a connection, there was a small chance that it was Wang Lin. In the case, he would need to change his decision-making and thought process. Forget it, I'll go meet him and find out. A moment later, Xian's eyes lit up and he raised his right hand. As he pointed at the sky, a thunderous rumble echoed and power gathered from all sides. When the clouds scattered, a huge rift was torn open in the sky. A giant head came out of the rift. This head was green and had 2 horns. It was an ancient devil. Large amounts of black gas surrounded the ancient devil, and as it roared, 2 large claws came out of the rift. It tore the rift open even wider and its whole body walked out. Its body was 100,000 feet tall, and after it walked out, it let out a roar before kneeling down before Xian. Staring at the giant ancient devil before him, Xian's eyes lit up. His left hand touched his forehead and a ray of green light shot out toward the ancient devil and disappeared between its eyebrows. Xian sat down with his eyes closed, but the ancient devil's eyes revealed a monstrous light. It had a gloomy expression as it moved back into the rift and disappeared. The moment the ancient devil disappeared, Wang Lin let out a deep breath in the Luohua country. His eyes were filled with determination, and after he checked his body's cultivation level, he frowned a moment later. He couldn't tell what cultivation level he was at now. He had passed peak void turbulent but was not a Grand Empyrean yet. He felt like the so-called Grand Empyrean was half a step from his current state. This half step seemed very short but was actually a large gap that was very difficult to cross. Halfway into heaven trampling, Wang Lin rubbed his temples and he looked at the celestial emperor's soul. He had been refining inside his soul fire for 100 years. The ancestral curse still remained and he had found it difficult to refine with his previous cultivation level. At this moment, his eyes lit up and his right hand reached toward the celestial emperor's soul. When he grabbed it, the soul fire around it disappeared, leaving only the soul. Looking at the soul, Wang Lin had a strange feeling. He had an illusion that he didn't need to use too much effort to easily remove the ancestral curse. This was naturally due to the fact that there wasn't much of the ancestral curse left. It had been shared by Jodi and the others, and he had been refining it for 100 years in his soul fire. However, even so, if it was before, he would have needed to refine it for 100 more years in his soul fire before he could expel it completely. With that strange gaze in his eyes, Wang Lin's left index finger penetrated the soul and touched the gray gas inside it. Wang Lin softly whispered, "Scatter." The moment he said this one word, a distortion appeared inside the secret chamber and countless lines appeared around Wang Lin's left index finger. The lines entered the gray gas inside the celestial emperor's soul. This mass of gray gas trembled and then rapidly dissipated until none remained. After removing this small portion of the ancestral curse so easily, Wang Lin's eyes shined brightly. Now that the ancestral curse was gone, the celestial emperor's eyes trembled as if he was going to open his eyes. Wang Lin didn't do anything but watch the celestial emperor's soul open his eyes. After a moment of confusion, his gaze turned into viciousness and hatred. Wang Lin! A divine sense rushed toward Wang Lin, but to Wang Lin, this divine sense was insignificant. Seeing that Wang Lin wasn't affected at all, the celestial emperor was startled. The moment he felt startled, Wang Lin's right hand squeezed. With this, a powerful rushed into the celestial emperor's soul, and with a bang, the celestial emperor died completely. His soul turned into a mass and was about to dissipate. Wang Lin's eyes shined brightly and his left hand reached at the void. A giant head suddenly appeared inside the secret chamber. It was the celestial ancestor's head, and when it appeared, a dense golden light scattered. This caused the world to change colors and filled the chamber with dense celestial energy. With the soul as a guide fuse, Wang Lin waved his sleeve and the Celestial Emperor's soul split into 7 strands of gas that flew toward the Celestial Ancestor's head. These 7 strands of gas rushed toward the 7 orifices. Wang Lin suddenly stood up and walked out of the secret chamber for the first time in 100 years. He stood over the Celestial Ancestor's head and waved at the sky. A giant sun appeared behind the Celestial Ancestor's head. This sun was black and white, and it was only an outline rather than corporeal like a real Grand Emperor sun. With my previous cultivation level I couldn't do it, but now I should be able to do it. With Lian Daojian's soul as a guide, I can fuse the Celestial Ancestor's head with my Grand Emperor sun. With it, my Grand Emperor sun will form completely. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and his hands formed seals. Green lights followed the 7 strands into the Celestial Ancestor's 7 orifices, causing the head to tremble. At this moment, the sky was dim and a powerful pressure descended, shrouding the area. Even if one was very far, they would feel it clearly. As Wang Lin continued to form seals, the Celestial Ancestor's head trembled violently and fine cracks appeared on it, spreading across the entire head. However, it showed no sign of breaking or melting. Wang Lin didn't make a sound as his hands formed seals, and he opened his mouth to spit out a mouthful of green fire. The fire burned the Celestial Ancestor's head. Then the head finally showed signs of melting. The moment it started melting, Wang Lin's black and white sun shrouded it. It shined brightly and began to rapidly absorb it. However, the speed at which the head was melting was slowing down, and as time passed it showed signs of stopping. Indeed worthy of the Celestial Ancestor, who stepped past the 8th heaven trampling bridge. Even after being dead for so long, just his head is so difficult to refine, Wang Lin murmured. He thought about who could kill the Celestial Ancestor but found no clues. However, in the end, this is just a head. Wang Lin raised his right hand and reached at the void. The dim sky suddenly changed colors and countless fine lines appeared. Others couldn't see then, and only after becoming a Grand Emperor could one vaguely sense them. However, even Grand Emperors had touch on the tip of controlling these fine lines. Only after taking that step into the 1st heaven trampling bridge could one really extract them from the world and put them to use. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he muttered to himself, "No wonder it is rumored that Grand Emperor Gu Dao could kill other Grand Emperors and that several Grand Emperors died by his hand in the Great War countless years ago. With this power to manipulate the world, it shouldn't be difficult to kill Grand Emperors." The Celestial Ancestor is indeed someone who walked past the 8th bridge. After his head is fused with my Grand Emperor sun, it will become a powerful aid and treasure. It was at this moment that a thunderous rumble echoed in the sky in the distance and a huge crack appeared. Large amounts of black gas spread out and a giant ancient devil walked out. However, just as the ancient devil walked out, it was startled. Song Tian's divine sense was inside the devil, and when he felt the strangeness here, his expression changed. He saw Wang Lin in the distance. Wang Lin completely ignored him and seemed to be grabbing countless fine lines in his hand. All the lines were wrapped around the head, and then Wang Lin bit his tongue to spit out blood that fell on the lines and the head. At this moment, the Celestial Ancestor's head began to melt rapidly, and was rapidly absorbed by Wang Lin's Grand Emperor sun. As the Grand Emperor sun rapidly condensed, a third color, gold, appeared, controlling the law of the world. The ancient devil that just appeared let out a shriek of disbelief. Grand Empyreans could explore the edge of the law of the world. With their powerful faith, they could borrow these laws to make things corporeal. The so-called creating something from nothing was this. However, it was simply turning the illusory into real. They could not grasp the laws and use them as they wished like Wang Lin. This was not borrowing, but a higher level of manipulation of the law of the world. Xianxia could not do this. In his memory, when he had gone to meet Grand Empyrean Gu Dao, he personally saw something similar. This is impossible. The ancient devil containing a hint of Xianxia's divine sense revealed a look of disbelief. He could not believe what he was seeing at all, that Wang Lin, who he considered not worthy of his concern, could control the law of the world after coming out of closed-door cultivation. The moment his ancient devil walked out from the rift, he was completely startled. His mind was completely blank and there was no thought other than Wang Lin reaching toward the sky and all the laws gathering. Wang Lin was not concerned about the appearance of the ancient devil, and he didn't even look at it. He focused on melting the celestial ancestor head before him. With his mouth full of blood and the law of the world, most of it had already melted. The parts that had melted were completely absorbed by his Grand Empyrean sun. The golden light became brighter and brighter, and the three-colored Grand Empyrean sun released a strange light. The celestial ancestor's head shrank rapidly as golden light penetrated it. A moment later, only a small portion of the head remained. It no longer looked like a head, but a mass of golden light. As it became smaller and smaller, Wang Lin's three-colored Grand Empyrean sun rapidly became brighter and more solid. Once the head completely melted and the three-colored Grand Empyrean sun fully absorbed the head, it would become a real Grand Empyrean sun and Wang Lin would become a real Grand Empyrean. He would be the second strongest Grand Empyrean on the immortal astral continent, after Grand Empyrean Gu Dao. In the distance, the ancient devil with Xianxia's divine sense gasped and recovered. He didn't want to believe what he was seeing, but reality was before him, so he had to believe it. At this moment, his heart trembled and he didn't hesitate to slowly retreat. Seeing Wang Lin ignore him, he retreated at the quickest speed back into the rift that he had arrogantly torn open. As a Grand Empyrean, he rarely did such a thing, feel timid before he even battled. Compared to how arrogantly he had arrived, his escaping figure was too much of a contrast. However, just as the ancient devil closed in on the rift and was about to enter it, a cold voice echoed across the world. "Are you just going to leave like that?" This voice caused the ancient devil containing Xianxia's divine sense to be startled, and then move at full speed as if it had gone mad. However, just as the cold voice echoed, Wang Lin's cold gaze landed on the ancient devil. Fine lines appeared around the ancient devil and wrapped around the ancient devil's body. The ancient devil trembled and became motionless, as if it was frozen. Wang Lin had speculated a long time ago that the stop spell was related to the law of the world. With his current cultivation level, he no longer needed to form seals, just a gaze could make them appear. What was stopped by Wang Lin's gaze was not just the ancient devil, but also Xianxia's divine sense. The divine sense trembled and couldn't move at all. At the same time, far away on Origin Mountain, Xianxia was sitting there, and he suddenly opened his eyes. His face was pale and contained a trace of fear. His divine sense had been frozen, and it almost affected his origin soul. "Open the origin array." Xianxia didn't hesitate to immediately let out a roar. As the roar echoed, all the powerful people that followed Xianxia were startled and quickly flew around to set up the formation. "Teacher." Xian didn't know what had happened, but seeing his teacher's gloomy expression, he felt a pressure and knew that something bad was going to happen. "Shut up. This lord don't want to be bothered right now. If not for your throne, how could I activate the origin array?" Xianxia turned around and looked at Xian with a cold gaze. "I have already done my best. If I fail, then you will not become the ancient emperor in 100 years. That Jidu will." Xianxia also felt anger. After he finished speaking, he flew into the sky and then reached down. The origin mountain trembled and a ray of light shot out. It was a giant war axe. This war axe was covered in rust and was not beautiful. However, when Xianxia held it, a roar came from the axe and inexhaustible green souls flew out of it and surrounded Xianxia in a green light. This made Xianxia look very strange. As Xianxia prepared to go all out, in the Luohua country, Wang Lin let out a long howl at the sky. As he howled, the sky changed colors. The celestial ancestor head that had mostly melted and turned into a bright ball of golden light had begun its final stage of melting. It became smaller and smaller. A moment later, it was only the size of a fist. The Grand Empyrean Sun became even more solid than the Grand Empyrean Suns of Grand Empyreans. Staring at the fist-sized golden light, Wang Lin's eyes shined brightly. He raised his right hand and reached at the palace below. Wang Lin's life and death, karma, and true and false essences flew out from the secret chamber and into his body. At this moment, when all his essences had returned to him, a thunderous rumble echoed inside his body. His hair moved without any wind and he released a shocking aura. Wang Lin looked at the melting celestial ancestor's head and spat out a mouthful of essence aura. This aura was invisible and only Wang Lin himself could feel it. The moment this aura touched the head suddenly trembled and melted. It melted completely and was completely absorbed by Wang Lin's three-colored sun. After absorbing the head, the sun became a corporeal object. Wang Lin completed the Grand Empyrean Sun and sent it into the sky of the immortal astral continent so it could become the 10th sun. This was a symbol of him truly becoming a Grand Empyrean. Before, Wang Lin could not be considered a true Grand Empyrean. The moment his Grand Empyrean Sun formed completely, Wang Lin raised his head and looked at the sky. This three-colored Grand Empyrean Sun seemed to be held up and slowly rose up to the sky. Looking at his own Grand Empyrean Sun rush toward the highest place in the sky, Wang Lin suddenly recalled when a trace of his divine sense entered the immortal astral continent and saw the strange scene of 9 suns in the sky. Grand Empyrean, Wang Lin muttered as he looked at his own Grand Empyrean Sun releasing a powerful burst of three-colored light. At this moment, when Wang Lin raised his own Grand Empyrean Sun into the sky, it affected the Grand Empyrean Suns of all the other Grand Empyreans. In the Celestial Clan, in the Daoyi sect, the Northern Continent, the Purple Yang sect, and Mount Emperor, each respective Grand Empyrean Sun rose up and shined brightly. Shortly after, inside the Ancestral City, a golden sun appeared, forming the 5th sun of the Celestial Clan. At the same time, in the Ancient Clan, Xian Luo's Grand Empyrean Sun appeared over the place where he was in closed-door cultivation. In the Ancient Jiu, the extremely mysterious Grand Empyrean there also had his Grand Empyrean Sun appear in the sky. And Song Tian's Grand Empyrean Sun also appeared without his control and flew into the sky. The last to appear was Grand Empyrean Gu Dao's Grand Empyrean Sun. At this moment, 10 suns suddenly appeared above the immortal astral continent. The remaining 9 Grand Empyrean Suns hadn't appeared because their owners wanted them to. They had been attracted by Wang Lin's Grand Empyrean Sun. No Grand Empyrean was surprised by this. Aside from when the Celestial Emperor inherited their Grand Empyrean power, this was a heavenly sign that appeared whenever someone became a Grand Empyrean. And at this time, because all the Grand Empyrean Suns were in the sky, the energy in the immortal astral continent surged. This allowed the other Grand Empyreans to clearly feel the aura of the new Grand Empyrean. There were a clear size difference in the 10 suns. The largest was Grand Empyrean Gu Dao's. His Grand Empyrean Sun was almost equivalent to the total of all the other 8 suns, excluding Wang Lin's three-colored sun. The second largest was Wang Lin's three-colored sun. Although not as large as Grand Empyrean Gu Dao's, it was nearly half its size. It radiated light no weaker than Grand Empyrean Gu Dao's sun. Godfather, Grand Empyrean. In the Luohua country, Prince Jidu revealed never-before-seen excitement and laughed out loud. Wang Lin! It's actually Wang Lin! A roar came out of the Daoyi sect, and the anger in that roar echoed across the world. Aside from anger, there was a sense of fear and dread. Facing Wang Lin, Daoyi could not forget everything that had happened inside the palace in the Ancestral City. Back then, Wang Lin was already extremely powerful, and now he was a Grand Empyrean. He didn't dare to imagine how strong Wang Lin was now. The giant Grand Empyrean Sun that was second only to Gu Dao's also revealed Wang Lin's strength. He hasn't even gone to the immemorial God realm and yet he actually become a Grand Empyrean based on his own strength. In the Northern Continent, Wu Feng was in a trance as he stared at the sky for a long time. In the Purple Yang sect, the 2 little girls were filled with joy. They pulled each other's hands while looking at the sky. he became a Grand Empyrean. On Mount Emperor in the ancestral city, Grand Empyrean Jidu looked in the direction of the ancient clan. His heart trembled, his face became slightly pale, and he was uncertain. When he was in the palace, he had already formed the outline of a sun. Then he obtained the celestial ancestor's head. This sun has 3 colors: black, white, and gold. The gold should be from the fusion of the celestial ancestor's head. Normally, it shouldn't be a great shock that he became a Grand Empyrean, but it's only been a mere 100 years and he has elite refined the celestial ancestor's head. And the time he became a Grand Empyrean, Jidu's heart trembled. He was the only one who knew the truth about the 72 souls causing an uproar. He thought about the gaze from before and couldn't help but connect it with Wang Lin becoming a Grand Empyrean. Jidu revealed dread and muttered to himself, "It should be impossible." Hai Zi was sitting at the corner of Mount Emperor, as she looked up at the sky with a complicated gaze and revealed a hint of enlightenment. Also in the ancestral city, under the palace, Lien Daofei, who had turned into a mountain, remained motionless. In the ancient clan, an uproar was set off in the ancient Shi's origin mountain. Song Tian had a bitter expression. Although he had already seen it when he sent the ancient devil over and was prepared, his heart still trembled. In the ancient Dao imperial city, Xian Luo felt Wang Lin's aura. A smile appeared on his face. He was very happy and laughed out loud. In the Luohua country, in the sky above the palace, Wang Lin waved his hand and his 3-colored Grand Empyrean sun disappeared. However, the shadow of his Grand Empyrean sun would forever remain in the sky as a symbol of him becoming a Grand Empyrean. The world returned to normal as the power of the law slowly dissipated. Several rays of light flew out from the palace, and the one in front was Prince Jidu. He suppressed the excitement in his heart, immediately knelt down when he was 1,000 feet from Wang Lin, and spoke loudly. "Congratulations, Godfather, on becoming a Grand Empyrean. Greetings, Lord Wang." Behind Jidu, the young woman and her husband, the young man in purple, spoke respectfully. They could not hide the shock in their eyes and dropped down to one knee before Wang Lin. After all, if Jidu did this, the 2 of them had to follow. "We greet Lord Wang." After the 3 of them spoke, all the guards in the palace got down on one knee and bowed at Wang Lin. Their voices fused together into a sound wave that echoed across the palace. Wang Lin floated in the air and looked at the people. He looked at Prince Jidu and the young couple with a smile. He was calm as he looked at the frozen ancient devil and walked over. Standing before the ancient devil, Wang Lin raised his right hand and pointed to between the eyebrows of the ancient devil. The ancient devil trembled and revealed a painful expression. A ray of black light flew out and disappeared into the wind. The ancient devil no longer felt pain and its mind was restored. It looked at Wang Lin with fear and whimpered. It was able to move again, so it also dropped down to one knee and lowered its head at Wang Lin. "Jidu, I'm going to take you to see Song Tian." Wang Lin stepped on the head of the ancient devil and looked back at Jidu. Jidu's body trembled and he suddenly looked up. He could not suppress his excitement as he looked at Wang Lin and revealed his gratitude. "Thanks, Godfather, for helping." Jidu took a deep breath and arrived at the head of the ancient devil. He respectfully stood behind Wang Lin and looked at Wang Lin's back. This back was not large, but he felt like it was a mountain. As long as he had this back supporting him, he could become the ancient Shi emperor. The large ancient devil didn't need Wang Lin to give any command. It let out a howl as it turned with Wang Lin and Jidu on its back and tore open the rift it came from. It went inside the rift and disappeared. When it disappeared, the rift in the sky slowly closed until it became a white line, which also disappeared. Outside the ancient Shi on Origin Mountain, when Wang Lin had erased Song Tian's divine sense on the ancient devil, Song Tian trembled. His face had turned slightly pale, but he quickly recovered. His expression was gloomy as he held the giant war axe in his hand. He looked up at the sky and his breathing gradually became even. He knew his actions would make Wang Lin come here. Even if I hadn't tried to test Wang Lin earlier, he would have still come here in order to make Jidu the next emperor. Song Tian sighed. He didn't have any confidence in winning, but as a Grand Empyrean, he could not just yield without a battle. On Origin Mountain, a thunderous rumble echoed and haze surrounded the mountain. There seemed to be a large army inside the haze that gave off powerful killing intent. With the origin formation and the war axe that contains law, which was gifted to me by Grand Emperor Gu Dao, even if he has the power to manipulate law, I should still be able to put up a fight. Song Tian took a deep breath and calmly looked at the sky as he waited for Wang Lin's arrival. Behind him, Xian had a bitter expression and was silently pondering. Time slowly passed, and in the blink of an eye 1 incense stick of time passed. Just at this moment, a rumble came from the sky and a large rift was torn open in the sky. Large amounts of black gas spewed out and a large ancient devil came out. There were 2 people standing on its head. It was Wang Lin and Ji Du. Song Tian suddenly looked at Wang Lin. At the same time Xian's gaze met with Ji Du's gaze. Song Tian waved his sleeve and coldly said, "Wang Lin." Wang Lin smiled as he clasped his hand and said, "Greetings, Lord Song. Don't speak more nonsense. I know why you came here. We will battle. If you win, I'll make Ji Du the next emperor in 100 years. Song Tian sighed. He didn't even say what would happen if he won. He waved his left hand and the troops in the fog around Origin Mountain let out a fierce roar as they charged at Wang Lin. At the same time, Song Tian grabbed the axe and chopped down on Wang Lin. Grand Emperor Song Tian was stronger than Dao Yi, about as powerful as Wu Feng. If Wang Lin had wanted to battle Song Tian 100 years ago, victory would be uncertain. He would have had to use all his power beside the avatar in the void to fight. But now, Wang Lin remained calm as he faced the endless troops and the heaven-splitting axe. He raised his right hand and pointed 3 times. With the first point, a thunderous rumble came from the army, rushing at Wang Lin. The army disappeared like bubbles. It was as if they had hit an invisible barrier. This was what it looked like to Xian and Ji Du, but in Song Tian's eyes, he saw the laws of the world appear before the army. After the army dissipated, Wang Lin's second point made the haze around Origin Mountain shatter. The fog was torn apart into countless pieces and disappeared. The whole mountain rumbled, and the powerful members of the ancient Shi that had been managing the formation all coughed out blood and were weakened. Song Tian felt his scalp go numb, but he endured and revealed a cold gaze. He still held the war axe and chopped down on Wang Lin. At this moment Wang Lin pointed for the 3rd time. An illusory fist appeared out of thin air before Song Tian. This fist was composed completely of the fine lines that represented the law of the world. The fist collided with Song Tian's axe. Thunderous rumbles echoed and the axe broke inch by inch before it shattered into countless pieces that fell on the earth. The fist made of law also trembled and was split in half. Song Tian coughed out a mouthful of blood and retreated 1,000 feet until he landed on Origin Mountain. The entire mountain trembled and cracks appeared on it. Wang Lin's right hand paused when a white mark appeared on his finger but didn't break his skin. The war axe contains law. Wang Lin looked at the war axe fragment in the distance and his hand reached out. The pieces flew toward Wang Lin and fused together to form a complete war axe. "Do you still want to fight?" Wang Lin's gaze calmly landed on Song Tian. "Why not fight?" Song Tian laughed and flew into the sky. He raised his right hand and reached at the Origin Mountain below. The entire Origin Mountain trembled and seemed to rise up. It feels like it was being lifted into the sky by Song Tian. Countless rays of light flew out of the mountain. They were the people that lived on the mountain, including Xian, and they looked at all of this in horror. Countless rays of light flew out from the imperial palace and headed toward this place. Wang Lin watched Grand Emperor Song Tian raise Origin Mountain into the sky, and the earth trembled as even more black light was released. Their expressions were all calm as he coldly looked over. The mountain rose higher and higher until it floated high above Song Tian's head. He raised his right hand as if he was holding a mountain. "Wang Lin, if you can withstand the power of this Origin Mountain, then I admit defeat." Song Tian let out a roar as he waved his right hand and Origin Mountain smashed down on Wang Lin. This mountain is called Origin Mountain. It was the first mountain born in the ancient Shi and has been here for countless. Its size hasn't changed at all after all these years. I completed my Dao and became a Grand Emperor here. After I refined the mountain, I was able to release its suppression force. "Wang Lin, take this attack." The world rumbled and the mountain howled loudly. The mountain was extremely shocking and instantly suppressed the area. The mountain was very strange. and Wang Lin could clearly see the power of law being pushed away by the mountain. A mysterious force split the law apart as if this mountain and the law of the world could not coexist. Wang Lin's eyes shined brightly. He stood there as his clothes and white hair danced in the wind. He looked at the incoming mountain and threw a punch at it. This punch landed on the void and the force collided with the mountain 1,000 feet away. A thunderous rumble echoed and the speed of the descent of the mountain reduced greatly, but it was still falling. Wang Lin's punch trembled and shattered after colliding with the mountain. At the same time, a powerful pressure fell on Wang Lin and the space he was in split. It was like the area around him had been completely separated from the world. Interesting. Wang Lin smiled faintly. This origin mountain's suppression was similar to the ancient ancestor's finger. However, the ancient ancestor's finger separated the area into its own world to collapse it to kill the enemy. This origin mountain separated the area into its own world to prevent the enemy from escaping and suppress them. Wang Lin looked at the incoming mountain and muttered to himself, "Indeed worthy of a Grand Empyrean. None of the 9 Grand Empyreans are weak. Each Grand Empyrean has their own spells. For example, Xianxia's origin mountain can reject laws and achieve the same effect of creating its own world like the ancient ancestor's finger. Although this isn't a faith spell, it's enough to be proud of." His eyes lit up. With his current cultivation level, there was no one who could make him feel dread other than Grand Empyrean Gu Dao. None of the other Grand Empyreans were a threat to Wang Lin. Although this origin mountain was extraordinary, that was it. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he raised his hand and pointed at the incoming mountain. This point was the ancient ancestor finger. With one point, the world changed colors and the clouds scattered. The space separated by the mountain rumbled and a large amount of cracks appeared around Wang Lin. The cracks became longer, making it seem as if the space around him was going to collapse because it could not withstand the force anymore. After Wang Lin pointed at the mountain, there was a rumble and it stopped. Although it continued to tremble, it could not descend anymore. Just at this moment, the separated space Wang Lin was trapped in collapsed. Wang Lin calmly stepped out and looked at Song Tian. "Want to fight more?" Song Tian revealed a bitter expression, but he clenched his teeth and jumped on top of Origin Mountain. He bit the tip of his tongue and spat out a mouthful of blood that turned into a blood mist, which was then absorbed by the mountain. Song Tian sat down and his hands formed seals as he let out a roar. Origin suppression. Origin Mountain let out a thunderous rumble. It broke free and descended upon Wang Lin once more. Wang Lin shook his head and moved. Before waiting for the mountain to descend, he appeared before the mountain and pressed his right hand against it. The moment his palm landed, the mountain suddenly trembled and Song Tian coughed out blood once more. He was knocked back several steps before he managed to stop. At this moment, the rays of light from the ancient Sure imperial city arrived, revealing dozens of figures. The person in front was an old man in a royal robe. When he looked at Wang Lin, his expression changed. Wang Lin didn't look at the people that had arrived. He waved his sleeve after Song Tian was knocked back. Origin Mountain immediately rotated and shrank until it was the size of a palm. Then it landed in Wang Lin's right hand. After the mountain shrank, it looked like a bull's head, and the broken horn had returned to normal. When Song Tian saw this, he staggered back and his face became pale. Over the countless years, no ancient Sure Grand Empyrean could shrink the mountain to such a degree. But for Wang Lin, he didn't even seem to refine it when he made it shrink. It also looked like Wang Lin could fully manipulate it as he wished. Song Tian felt bitterness in his heart as he let out a sigh and gave up all resistance. He clasped his hands and bowed at Wang Lin. "I admit defeat," Song Tian said. Then he looked back at the people that had arrived. They were all shocked by this scene. As the guardian of the ancient Sure and as a Grand Empyrean, I recognize Prince Ji Du as the new emperor in 100 years. Song Tian slowly said. Then his gaze fell on the old man in the royal robe. The old man was the current ancient Sure emperor. He hesitated a bit and seemed like he wanted to say something, but he looked at Wang Lin and remained silent. He clasped his hands at Song Tian and nodded. Prince Ji Du was filled with excitement. All of this felt unreal to him. What he had always dreamed of had been obtained so easily, causing him to enter a trance. However, he was no ordinary person, so after a moment, he immediately took a deep breath and stepped forward before everyone. He hesitated for a moment and didn't thank Song Tian or his father. Instead, he turned and got down on one knee before Wang Lin in front of Song Tian, his father, the emperor, and many powerful members of the ancient Shi. Thank you, Godfather, for your help. This kneeling and sentence caused everyone's expressions to change. They all looked over and revealed looks of disbelief. In the ancient clan where the imperial power was supreme, the prince that had been recognized as the future emperor had actually knelt and recognized someone as his godfather. This kind of thing was beyond everyone's imagination and caused an uproar. Jidu, what are you doing? The first person to speak was the middle-aged man standing next to the ancient Shi emperor. He was the crown prince. In the distance, Qi Man originally felt unwilling, but he had no power to change it. However, now his eyes lit up. Jidu, as a prince, how can you randomly recognize someone as your godfather? You will be the future ancient Shi emperor. How can you kneel toward an ancient Dao Grand Empyrean? The ancient Shi emperor was still silently pondering. He looked at his own son kneeling before Wang Lin, not hiding the hint of gloominess in his eyes. The surrounding uproar caused Jidu's face to turn a bit pale, but his eyes were filled with determination as he looked at Wang Lin. He knew what he was doing. He wanted to use this to tell his godfather that even if he became the ancient Shi emperor, Wang Lin was still his godfather. Wang Lin also looked at Jidu. He hadn't expected Jidu to have the courage to do such a thing before his father, his brothers, and his fellow clansmen. Jidu could have secretly fulfilled his promise to Wang Lin. This way, his process of becoming the emperor would be smooth, but now there would be twists and turns in his path. The uproar was getting louder and louder, but Song Tian didn't speak and the ancient Shi emperor also remained silent. Only his gaze became more gloomy. Wang Lin slowly said, Jidu, I accept you as my adopted son. Jidu took a deep breath. Before this, Wang Lin had never recognized him, and it was just him calling Wang Lin his godfather. When he heard Wang Lin's words, Jidu bowed once more. In 100 years, you will be the ancient Shi emperor. Wang Lin didn't look at the crowd but toward the ancient Shi imperial city. He could see that in the imperial city, there was a towering statue of the ancient ancestor. That place was where the ancestral temple was located. The crown prince and Qi Man's faces were pale and they seemed to want to speak. The ancient Shi emperor seemed to understand something and let out a sigh before he spoke for the first time. For my child to have a godfather like Lord Wang is his fortune and glory to my ancient Shi. I'm not the ancient Dao emperor, so will not force Lord Wang away, as that would cause a disaster for the ancient Shi. I ask Lord Wang to stay in my ancient Shi. If you have any requests, I'll do my best to satisfy them. The old man in the royal robe clasped his hands and bowed at Wang Lin. At this moment, Song Tian smiled and said to Wang Lin, if Brother Wang doesn't have anywhere to go, how about staying here and witness Jidu becoming the emperor in 100 years? Prince Jidu got up and respectfully said to the ancient Shi emperor, Father, Godfather wants to go to the ancestral temple and this child has agreed, but I would like to ask Father's permission. The old man smiled and said without hesitation, Ancestral temple? If Lord Wang wants to go, then I naturally agree. He didn't dare to disagree or have any opinion about Jidu taking this person as his godfather. This Lord Wang had killed the ancient Dao emperor and broken into the ancient Dao imperial city, and had left with his life. Even Grand Empyrean Gu Dao hadn't said a word. When he sat that even Grand Empyrean Song Tian was not his match, how could he dare to offend Wang Lin? The supremacy of the imperial power had no effect on something like this. There were only 3 ancestral temples in the entire ancient clan. They were in the imperial city of each royal family, and were located at the foot of each country's statue. Every single adult ancient clan member would willingly come to the ancestral temple during their 3rd trial. However, they wouldn't go too deep, and people of the royal family were allowed to enter the inner area. Since ancient times, very few people had met the qualifications to enter closed-door cultivation inside the ancestral temples. This was rare even for Grand Empyreans because the control was in the hands of each generation's emperor. Only members of the royal families could go into the depth of the temples to pass this trial. Wang Lin was standing at the center of the imperial city of the ancient Shi. He was beneath the ancient statue, just silently staring ahead. This statue was the same as the ancient Dao statue. The ancient ancestor looked at the heavens and earth with disdain and contempt. Before Wang Lin had crossed the 3 heaven-trampling bridges, he didn't feel too much when he saw the ancient ancestor's statue in the ancient Tao. However, at this moment this statue became different in his eyes. The contempt and disdain was only on the surface. Deep within, Wang Lin saw a hint of sadness. This sadness was directed toward himself and also all living beings. Wang Lin slowly said, "Who carved the ancient ancestor's statue?" Beside Wang Lin, Xian stood there as he looked at the statue and slowly said, "Grand Emperor Gu Dao." After the ancient ancestor disappeared, Grand Emperor Gu Dao brought 3 mountains from some unknown place. He personally carved 3 statues and erected them in the 3 imperial cities. It is also because of this that us descendants can remember the appearance of the ancient ancestor, and not forget due to the passage of time. Wang Lin gently nodded. He knew that a race had to have a symbol of hope. If there were none, then this race would not last long and would slowly die out. It was obvious the ancient ancestors' statues and legends were the symbols that the ancient clan believed in. Grand Emperor Gu Dao, guardian of the ancient clan. Just from this title, one could see his wisdom. Wang Lin and Xian were standing beneath the statue, as if they were silently waiting for something. Shortly after, murmuring came from the direction of the imperial palace. A ray of dark light rushed toward this location and circled around the ancient ancestor statue to form dark halos. Below the statue, on the boot of the ancient ancestor statue, there was a huge door. This door was closed, but when the dark halo appeared, the door slowly opened. "Brother Wang, the ancestral temple has opened. I won't be going in, take care." Xianxia clasped his hands at Wang Lin. Wang Lin looked at the door that was opening and revealed a solemn expression. Whether he could allow Li Muwen to safely enter the immemorial god realm all depended on whether he could obtain 2 more drops of soul blood on the 3rd trial. Wang Lin clasped his hands at Xianxia before he took a deep breath and walked toward the ancestral temple. His pace was not fast, but every step was very stable. Step by step, he arrived before the open door and walked inside without hesitation. The moment he entered the ancestral temple, the door slowly closed. After only half an incense stick of time did the door close completely. The dark light on the ancient ancestor's statue gradually dimmed. It turned back into a ray of light and disappeared back into the imperial palace. Xianxia stood there for a long time before he let out a sigh and left. The members of the ancient Shi all saw the aura around the statue, but few knew Wang Lin had entered. This news was suppressed by the ancient Shi emperor, so people slowly forgot about this matter. The entire ancient Shi was no different from before, but the people that paid attention would notice that Prince Jidu, who was often away from the imperial city, was now living inside the palace. The crown prince had been titled king 10 years ago, and had been sent away to guard the border. Another 5 years passed. Prince Qiman, who was most likely to become the next emperor, was tilted king and was sent out of the imperial city. After 15 years passed, the princes were titled kings and sent away one by one. After 30 years of time, only Prince Jidu remained. During these 30 years, Prince Jidu had been very quiet and hadn't interacted with the outside too much. His status as the next emperor was set, and he no longer had to act in secret. He just had to wait. After all the other princes were titled kings and sent away, the people of the ancient Shi knew who the future emperor would be. Jidu gradually began to come in contact with all the hidden powers that belonged to the emperor. In the remaining 70 years, his father was going to slowly pass the power to him. This was something all new emperors in all 3 ancient clans had to do, and it was also the most peaceful time. Everything proceeded as planned and Jidu still maintained good habits. Almost every morning when he got up, he would silently look toward the direction of the ancestral temple. He didn't know when he would next see his godfather, but this habit remained the same. Many clansmen who later followed Jidu noticed his and were very puzzled. Even though they secretly inquired about it, they could not find any clues. Time slowly passed and this matter became a secret. In addition to this habit, during these 30 years, he didn't forget Wang Lin's command. He had sent a lot of powerful people to Blackstone City to silently guard a woman. That woman was called Xianxia. After more than 100 years, Xianxia was no longer the same as before and revealed the passage of time. She never knew that the Lord of Blackstone City and countless powerful experts had a secret mission because of her. In a flash, another 20 years passed. On the 50th year since Wang Lin had stepped into the ancestral temple, a grand ceremony was held in the ancient Shi. This grand ceremony was not Song Tian's crowning ceremony, but his wedding. He had chosen one of Song Tian's descendants, a woman named Song Yu, as his wife. This woman was doted on by Song Tian and was one of the few descendants who could personally listen to his teachings. This grand festival lasted for several months, and during this time, members of the other two clans came. From the ancient Dao came a middle-aged man, and if Wang Lin saw him, he would see that this person looked very similar to Yimo. He was Yimo's descendant. After this festival ended and everyone had left, Jidu brought his wife before the ancestral temple as the moon hung high in the sky. The moonlight was soft and bathed the ancient ancestor statue. Jidu silently pulled his puzzled wife's hand toward the ancestral temple and stopped 100 feet away from it. He looked at the ancestral temple and entered a trance. After a long time, he silently knelt down. The woman beside him was puzzled but didn't ask, and instead knelt down with him 100 feet away from the ancestral temple. Jidu softly said, "Song Yu, we are not bowing to the ancient ancestor." The woman was startled. "We are bowing to my godfather." "Godfather?" The woman was surprised. "Godfather, I have taken Lord Song's descendant as my wife. She will be the future empress of the ancient Shi. Today, I brought her here to pay respects, godfather." Jidu was very respectful. This came from his heart and he was being very sincere. He would forever remember that everything he had obtained had been given to him by Wang Lin. He would always remember that if there was no Wang Lin, he would have had no chance of becoming emperor. Even the woman beside him would not be his wife. She would belong to Chi-Man instead. "Godfather, there are 50 more years before the day this child becomes the new emperor. This child hopes that I can see Godfather that day." The woman beside him seemed to remember something and looked at the ancestral temple in shock. She vaguely remembered that her Song family's old ancestor, Lord Song, had inadvertently mentioned a name. When this name was mentioned, Song Tian's expression became complicated and showed a hint of respect. The woman whispered, "Wang, Lord Wang." Jidu didn't speak but knelt there for a long time before he got up and silently left with his wife. However, when he was a few hundred feet away, a voice came from the ancestral temple. "When you become the new emperor, I'll be there." Jidu's body trembled and he suddenly turned around. He looked at the ancestral temple and smiled. Wang Lin was sitting deep inside the ancestral temple. His body was giving off the smell of decay and had withered greatly. He looked like a corpse, but his eyes were bright as the stars. The ancient clan's 3 trials and 7 calamities. In the cave world, I completed 2 trials and 4 calamities, and I even passed the first calamity of the 3rd trial. The first calamity of the 3rd trial was the ancient race Heavenly Blood. The second calamity of the 3rd trial is the ancient Tao 3 soul splits. The 3rd calamity, which is the last one, is the blessing of the ancient ancestor. Wang Lin murmured as he looked ahead. There was a stone tablet before him, and engraved on it was all the information about the ancient clan's 3 trials and 7 calamities. After a long time, Wang Lin closed his eyes, and the voice that had appeared when he passed the first calamity of the 3rd trial and obtained the drop of soul blood echoed in his mind. "If I want this sky to collapse, it will collapse. If I want this earth to break, it will break. If I want a being to die, no one would dare to stop me. If I want no celestials to remain alive, who would dare to save them? I'm ancient. I was born before the world appeared and survived before the world began. However, before me there was still the celestials. Since the celestials want to make me their slave, let me destroy them. If I fail, my descendants will be enemies of the celestials for countless generations, until no celestials remain." 9 drops of soul blood. I gifted them to my 3 sons to lead my ancient clan. When the 9 songs and 3 signs appear, wait for my reincarnation, wait for my inheritor to appear. Wang Lin was sitting inside the ancestral temple, and his body had withered like a corpse. His white robe was loose and looked like it was merely draping over his body. In his mind, this voice echoed for 50 years. At first it was only like a murmur, but as time passed, the voice became even more intense, like a roar. Now it was as if someone was constantly roaring in his ear. The heaven-defying will and unwillingness in this voice made Wang Lin's blood boil. As all of his blood boiled, his body could not endure it and started to wither. Right now he was like a corpse. However, he didn't look weak at all but seemed to vaguely contain shocking vitality and strength. It felt like once Wang Lin's body recovered to the state it was in when he entered the ancestral temple, the power of his physical body would reach a terrifying level. The ancient clan's third trial had 3 calamities. After the ancient race Heavenly Blood, it was the ancient Dao 3 soul splits. After surviving this, the ancient clan member would have their ancient power increased greatly. Many members of the 3 clans who had reached 27 stars and became lords had experienced all 3 trials and 7 calamities. In particular, the last 2 calamities of the third trial had to happen at each clan's ancestral temple. However, due to individual differences, everyone's increase in strength and fortune were different. In 50 years of time, Wang Lin was still sitting there, almost completely motionless. He let the voice echo in his mind, and it was only after Prince Ji-Du left that Wang Lin felt the arrival of the third trial's second calamity. The roar in his mind became even more intense and his blood seemed to rage even more. A feeling of heat erupted and spread across his body. Ancient Dao 3 soul splits, Wang Lin murmured. From the stone tablet, he had learned that the so-called ancient Dao 3 soul splits would not split his origin soul into 3 parts. Instead, he would have to endure 3 complete splits and fusions. He would have to endure great pain each split and would require great perseverance to fuse his origin soul back together for the second split. After each fusion, his origin soul and body would become much stronger than before. Once he endured 3 cycles, he would have survived this calamity. There was no death in this calamity, but the key was the time to endure. The longer one endured, the greater the benefits. This amount of pain was not something ordinary people could endure. Not even the imperial family could last long. Most people could not wait for a complete shattering and would often choose to fuse halfway. As a result, the fortunes obtained were different between people. During the ancient Dao 3 soul splits, one can choose to fuse at any moment. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Since ancient times, there had been people with great perseverance. However, although this calamity caused no deaths, if one allowed their origin soul to completely shatter and then was unable to fuse it, death could happen. Therefore, even the imperial family and those with great perseverance rarely made this choice. Even if they did, they would only gamble once during the first split. Very few people dared to gamble their life during the second split. Very few people had gambled a third time, and almost all of them had died. Rumor had it that over the countless years, only the strongest Grand Empyrean, Gu Dao, had chosen to shatter completely and ultimately succeeded. Compared to the second calamity of the third trial, the third calamity could not be considered a real calamity. The blessing of the ancient ancestor was, in fact, an award from the ancient ancestor. Perhaps it would be a sliver of memory, perhaps it would be an incomplete spell, or perhaps it would be a sliver of extremely pure ancient ancestor blood. And there was even that sliver of a chance it would be soul blood. However, that sliver of chance was only a rumor and was something future generations had made up. It was said that not even Grand Empyrean Gu Dao had obtained soul blood during his blessing of the ancient ancestor. However, it was rumored that what Grand Empyrean Gu Dao had obtained was extraordinary, but no one knew what it was. Wang Lin took a deep breath and his body began to tremble and his blood began to boil. Bursts of pain emerged and fused with the roar in his mind. They fused into a mysterious force that shrouded his entire body. At the same time, he clearly felt his origin soul beginning to show signs of shattering. It's finally begun. Wang Lin suddenly looked up and his eyes were calm. He had waited 50 years for this day. Whether he could obtain more soul blood to allow Li Muan's body to safely enter the immemorial God realm all depended on this. More and more cracks appeared on his origin soul and bursts of unimaginable pain followed. However, this level of pain was something Wang Lin could endure. However, this was just the beginning. In order to obtain the soul blood, I must endure the second calamity to the limit to see where it ends. There was a trace of decisiveness and determination in his eyes. He slowly closed his eyes to endure the arrival of the calamity. When Wang Lin was going through the second calamity, circular ripples appeared outside the ancestral temple. These ripples spread out in all directions and almost enveloped the entire ancient Shur imperial city. This strange phenomenon immediately attracted the attention of all the members of the ancient Shur. The ancient ancestor statue is releasing halos. Someone is going through the calamities. From the 9 halos, it seems like it's the third trial's second calamity. This should be the first split. If it was the second, there would be 18 halos. Strange, the ancestral temple would never open for just one individual. People always have to wait until the imperial family gathers enough people to open the ancestral temple. But I haven't heard of such things in recent years. I wonder how many people are attempting the calamity and how long they can last. Normally, it ends in just a few days. The people of the ancient Shur were not surprised about the halo from the ancient ancestor statue. It was obvious that they had seen this before, and after taking a few glances, they no longer paid attention to it. But what they didn't know is that when the 9 halos appeared, the ancient Shur emperor and Jidu both looked over. 50 years. He has finally begun his first split. I wonder how long he can persist. In my ancient Shur, there have been someone who spent a year in the first split to reach perfection. I wonder if this person can do it. The ancient Shur emperor quietly looked into the distance for a long time, and then withdrew his gaze. Jidu was standing beside the window of his room, looking into the distance. His wife was beside him, also looking in that direction with him. "Godfather," Jidu murmured. His wife held his hand and gently looked at him. Also at this moment on Origin Mountain, Xianxia walked out of his closed-door cultivation with his hands behind his back. He looked in the direction of the imperial city. With his cultivation level, he will definitely choose to completely split his soul the first time, so the time it will take will not be short. Forget it. When he was in closed-door cultivation before, I acted twice. Although I later recognized Jidu as the emperor, I did offend him first, and after he arrived, he didn't pursue this matter. I'll guard him during his first split as repayment. Xianxia flew into the air and disappeared. He appeared outside the ancestral temple, and then sat down with his back toward the temple. No one is allowed to come within 10,000 feet of the ancestral temple. Violators will die. Xianxia's divine sense spread out. Wang Lin was enduring the pain of the soul split when he felt Xianxia's arrival in words. He knew Xianxia had come with the intention of guarding him. He took a deep breath and sent out a divine sense message to Xianxia. "Many thanks. No need. I'm only guarding you for the first split as repayment for acting against you." Xianxia didn't turn around but looked at the sky. After pondering a bit, he closed his eyes. The moment Wang Lin's divine sense withdrew, his body trembled and he looked up. Although he was suffering greatly under the first split, thanks to his current cultivation level, he could feel a figure silently looking over. Wang Lin was familiar with that figure. "Teacher," Wang Lin muttered. He knew his teacher wouldn't leave the ancient Tao for no reason. His teacher had come because Xianluo wanted to protect him when he was at the weakest enduring the calamity. In the sky, Xianluo looked down at the ancient Shur imperial city and the ancient ancestor statue. He could faintly feel Wang Lin's aura from the ancestral temple. He had a smile on his face and his gaze was gentle. "You are already stronger than teacher. The only thing teacher can do is guard you while you're weak during the soul split." The feeling of teacher and disciple was not something that needed to be declared. Although Wang Lin and Xianluo were no longer disciple and teacher, in Wang Lin's heart, Xianluo would forever be his teacher. And in Xianluo's heart, his only disciple was still this child he had brought from the cave world to the ancient clan. In the ancestral temple, although Wang Lin was experiencing intense pain, he felt warmth. He took a deep breath, he closed his eyes, and fully immersed himself in his origin soul as it split. With his teacher here, he didn't have to worry about anything else. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. During these 3 days, Wang Lin had sat there motionlessly, but the pain from his origin soul splitting became even more violent, like a storm sweeping through his body. As he sat there, a shadow appeared above him, and it was connected to his head. This shadow had cracks all over its body, and the number of cracks was increasing. In some places, the cracks seemed to have connected, making for a shocking sight. This shadow was the external projection of Wang Lin's origin soul. If it was other members of the ancient clan, Perhaps they could not endure the pain and would have chosen to fuse after 3 days. However, for Wang Lin, this was just the beginning and was far from the end. Another 3 days passed. The people of the ancient Shur imperial city had noticed that something was wrong. They felt like the halos around the ancient Shur statue were lasting longer than normal. It has lasted a total of 6 days, a few more days than normal. It looks like among the people going through the calamity, there are some with great perseverance. 6 days. I wonder who among this group lasted this long. Back then I could not last past the 3rd day. That pain is not something that can be simply endured. This is to be expected from someone worthy of being guarded by Lord Song. However, although this attracted attention, 6 days of time was not long. People gradually forgot about the anomaly here. Until the 9th day, the 15th day, the 30th day, and after 2 months, the halos around the ancient ancestor statue still remained around the imperial city. At this time, more and more people of the ancient Shur would look at the ancient ancestor statue in shock. They felt like this batch of people had endured a bit too long. 2 months and no one has come out of the ancestral temple. Unless there is only one person going through the calamity. Who is this person for Lord Song to guard him? 2 months. He has actually endured 2 months. It looks like he chose to go through a large degree of soul splitting. Time unknowingly passed and another 6 months went by. Adding the 2 months from before, Wang Lin's first soul split had lasted for 8 months. During these 8 months, almost everyone in the ancient Shur imperial city would look toward the ancient ancestor statue to see if the halos were still there at the start of each day. More and more discussions filled the entire imperial city. This became a hot topic among the people in the imperial city. The people went from shock to horror and then from horror to excitement. Right now was the peak of their excitement, because there were only 4 months from the 1-year record of the longest first soul split in the ancient Shur. Can he hold on for a year? It has to be said that the longest someone has lasted in the first soul split was 1 year. If he didn't die during the second split, he might have become a Grand Empyrean. 8 months, this person is really crazy to endure that kind of pain. Rumors say that Lord Song endured for 11 months in the past. As the people of the ancient Shur debated, Wang Lin was still sitting motionlessly. However, the shadow around him was already in pieces. The legs of the shadow had disappeared and only half the figure remained. This figure was completely blurry, as if it would dissipate at any moment. Although Wang Lin's eyes were closed, he was enduring intense pain. Having his origin soul split bit by bit was like being cut by thousands of knives. He had to remain conscious during the entire process. 8 months of suffering didn't make him give up. He was going to wait for his origin soul to completely shatter before he fused. The roar from the ancient ancestor was the only thing left in his mind. If I want the sky to collapse, it will collapse. If I want this earth to break, it will break. If I want a being to die, no one would dare to stop me. If I want no celestials to remain alive, who would dare to save them? As he endured with his full strength, the 9th month arrived. Then the 10th and 11th months passed in the blink of an eye. Xian was sitting outside the ancestral temple, guarding Wang Lin for the 11th month. He was not surprised that Wang Lin could last until now, and he speculated that Wang Lin should be able to last for about a year. In truth, 1 year of time is only enough to allow the origin soul to become fragments. Only that one crazy person countless years ago endured for 28 months for the fragments to become dust. Xian didn't look back at the ancestral temple and calculated the time. When the 12th month passed and 2 more months passed, the entire ancient Shur was in an uproar. They all looked at the ancient ancestor statue, wondering who this person was and how long that person could last. 14 months. Indeed worthy of Lord Wang. In the palace, the old emperor let out a sigh. On this day, in the 14th month, only a head remained on the shadow. It was filled with cracks, and as a burst of light appeared from within, it collapsed. When the head of the shadow collapsed, there no longer seemed to be a shadow over Wang Lin, but if one used their divine sense, they would find a large amount of fragments floating around that were still collapsing. At this moment, Wang Lin's body had no vitality, as if he were dead. The blood in his body no longer moved and his body had become cold. He had lost his mind as if he was really dead. His only existence was a will, the will to endure until the very end to fuse again. If he succeeded, he would be reborn, but if he failed, he would disappear. Will I fail? No, I will never fail. In his mind, the roar of the ancient ancestor still echoed. These invisible fragments slowly shattered as another 4 months passed. Wang Lin had endured the first soul split for a total of 18 months. This time even Xian was moved. He turned to face the temple and looked at it. If he was like this, there was no need to talk about the people of the ancient Shur. The 18 months had made them used to the halos that were always there. However, the disbelief they felt made it impossible for them to get used to it. The 19th month, 20th month, until the 27th month, Wang Lin had endured for more than 2 years, and inside the ancestral temple, about 80% of those invisible fragments had completely broken down. Only few remaining fragments continued to split. The 30th month passed. During these 2.5 years, if not for the fact that Xian could feel Wang Lin's will inside the ancestral temple, he would have thought Wang Lin was dead. Madman! For him to have such strength, it must be related to this madness. Does he not know that a complete shattering leads to death? Xian had already stood up. He was standing outside the temple with an uncertain expression. When the 30 months arrived, there was some change in the heart of the ancient Shur emperor. Although he still called Jidu over as normal, there was something hidden in his eyes. However, only he knew what it was. However, what the emperor didn't know was that Jidu had also noticed this, but he didn't care. At this moment, he was anxious not for his position as emperor, but the safety of his godfather. When the 35th month passed, even Xian Luo, who had been guarding Wang Lin in the sky, became anxious. He wanted to remind Wang Lin but was afraid that there might be an accident. The 36th month, Xian Luo was hesitating when the 9 halos suddenly shined brightly. The light spread in all directions and swept across the ancient Shur imperial capital. The entire city became silent as all the ancient Shur clan members looked over at the ancient ancestor statue. Xian Luo got up and excitedly looked over. Xianxia gasped. Then he retreated 10,000 feet and looked over. In the palace, the ancient Shur emperor was nervous as he stood beside the window and stared at the direction of the ancestral temple. Jidu personally arrived 10,000 feet outside the ancestral temple and anxiously looked over. In the ancestral temple, light shined on Wang Lin's motionless body. Countless specks of light condensed on his body, forming a shadow that was many times larger than before. It shined brightly and gave off a shocking pressure. When the shadow condensed, the 9 halos around the ancient ancestor statue suddenly merged into one. It released a bright light and made the night look like it was day. Also at this moment, the halos that had fused into one split into 18 halos that floated around the ancient ancestor statue. The first soul split is complete. 36 months, a total of 3 years. Xianxia looked at this scene and muttered to himself, a complete shattering and perfect fusion. Some of the ancient clan members believed that the ancient ancestor was not dead and was still alive. Most people believed that even if the ancient ancestor was dead, his spirit was still there. The ancient ancestor's spirit was still guarding the 3 clans. Otherwise, how could the strange scene that took place during the trials at the ancestral temple in the 3 clans be explained? And how could the blessing given by the ancient ancestor statue be explained? How could the halos that appeared around the ancient ancestor statue when someone was going through the ancient Tao 3 soul splits be explained? During the ancient Tao 3 soul splits, when the first soul split happens, 9 halos appear around the ancient ancestor statue. During the second soul split, 18 halos would appear, and during the third soul split, a total of 27 halos would appear. At this moment in the imperial city, outside the ancient ancestor statue, 18 halos were shining and ripples were spreading in all directions, attracting the attention of everyone in the imperial city. Xianxia was standing 10,000 feet outside the ancestral city, looking at the 18 halos. He silently pondered for a moment before he turned to leave. 3 years ago, he had come to compensate for his actions and for his own peace of mind. Now he had guarded Wang Lin for 3 years. Although he wasn't the only one here, he had made his decision. If Wang Lin had faced danger during these 3 years, he would certainly have helped. Now that the first soul split was complete, he felt that there was no reason to stay. He didn't look back when he returned to his origin mountain. He stopped paying attention to the ancestral temple and began to cultivate. Wang Lin clearly felt Song Tian's departure. As he sat inside the ancestral temple, the shadow above him was much larger than before. Although Wang Lin's cultivation level hadn't increased, he could feel that he was stronger than before. With his current cultivation level, even a small increase in strength was still shocking. If I can completely pass this calamity with perfection each time and get the soul blood, will I be able to pass the fourth bridge when I go back to the heaven-trampling bridges? Wang Lin muttered to himself. Wang Lin took a deep breath and his eyes shined. He looked at the shadow above his head. The first soul split took 3 years. The last moments were almost like death. If not for my will, then I fear I wouldn't have been able to fuse back together. This ancient Tao 3 soul splits is related to willpower, but also luck. Wang Lin frowned, and now he fully understood why so few people chose to attempt a complete split. Luck may come once or maybe even twice, but 3 times in a row was very unlikely. Then this second time, Wang Lin closed his eyes, and after a long time he reopened them. He was determined. Luck is important, but if one has a powerful enough will to surpass luck everything, that works fine as well. Wang Lin formed a seal with his hand and the shadow appeared above him. He closed his eyes once more. The moment he closed his eyes, the shadow above his head trembled and thin cracks appeared on it. The second soul split began. In the sky of the imperial city, Xian Luo looked down with a smile. He sat down and continued to guard his disciple. In his heart, although the ancient Tao needed his protection, his disciple, who would be weakened during this soul split, also needed his protection. In a flash 3 years passed. The 18 halos above the ancient Shur imperial city seemed to have become part of the city. Many people of the ancient Shur seemed to have become used to their existence. Although they would still pay attention to the halos, their curiosity had slowly dissipated as time passed. Now they only had one guess remaining in their hearts. They were guessing how long this person can endure the second soul split. After 3 years passed, another 3 years went by. After a total of 6 years, the 18 halos around the ancient ancestor statue remained. This made it so there was no difference between day and night in the imperial city. Even at night, the light from the halos lit up the entire imperial palace. 10 years had passed since the second soul split began. Some of the younger children born during this time thought that the sky of the imperial city had always been like this. The rumor of 10 years of soul split gradually spread across the ancient clan. Even people of the ancient Tao and ancient Ji had come to see. Time continued to pass. When the 10th year passed, the head of the shadow above Wang Lin shattered completely. He was suffering unimaginable pain, but he still endured. Those invisible fragments continued to break down, and once they became dust, it would represent the second time his origin soul had shattered completely. The ancient Shur emperor seemed to have given up on some unrealistic ideas and had stopped paying attention to the ancient ancestor statue. He focused on guiding Ji-Du to slowly inherit the throne. There were less than 40 years left until Ji-Du would inherit the throne. For mortals, 40 years was half their life, but for the ancient clan, although it was long, it was not far away. As Ji-Du gradually gained control over the various secrets of the ancient Shur, another 3 years passed. Wang Lin's second soul split had lasted for 13 years. Half a year ago, a powerful pressure had spread out from the ancestral temple and produced a strange force. This force stopped all divine senses and people from entering. Xian Luo was worried as he looked down from the sky. Even his divine sense could not enter, and he could feel that he couldn't even walk into the ancestral temple with this force surrounding it. This power belonged to the ancient ancestor, and it came from that drop of soul blood. When this happened to the ancestral temple, Song Tian, who originally wanted to ignore this, suddenly opened his eyes. There was a trace of doubt as he looked in the direction of the ancestral temple. The 13th year passed and the 14th year arrived. When the mysterious power spread out, Wang Lin's aura had disappeared completely. It was unknown if he was alive or dead. Not even the will that remained during the first soul split could be detected. The only sign that pointed to the fact that Wang Lin was not dead was the 18 halos around the ancient ancestor statue. No one knew that the countless fragments from Wang Lin's collapsed shadow had completely shattered into dust 6 months ago. However, after they shattered, he had been unable to fuse them again. Wang Lin had used this powerful will to attempt to fuse them several times, but still hadn't succeeded. His will had slowly weakened after he tried to fuse several times, so it was extremely weak now. All his vitality was gone and only a small amount of will remained when he tried to fuse again and again. A large number of specks of light would gather to form a shadow, but they would soon become unstable and collapse into dust before disappearing. This was the 13th time. Without a divine sense or a consciousness, Wang Lin used the little amount of will he had left to begin the 14th fusion. A large amount of specks of light condensed when the 14th year passed by. The 15th year arrived. When the 15th year arrived, something shocking happened to the 18 halos around the ancient ancestor statue. This caught the attention of all the people who were used to the halos being there, and caused an uproar across the entire city. Even the ancient Shi emperor, who no longer paid attention to this, came out of his chamber and looked at the ancient ancestor statue. He took a deep breath. Jidu flew into the air and nervously looked over. He unconsciously clenched his fist. Xian stood at the top of the horn on Origin Mountain, and his expression was uncertain. One of the 18 halos suddenly dimmed and soon shattered into countless pieces. As a result, only 17 halos remained around the ancient ancestor statue. The halos have shattered this. What is the cause? Could this person's second soul split have failed and now they're dead? Otherwise, the halos should never shatter and dissipate. I remember. Back then, I heard that the 3 soul splits are not endless and there is a time limit. Could it be this person have reached the time limit on the second soul split? Bursts of discussions echoed inside the ancient Shi imperial city. Wang Lin has reached the time limit of the second soul split. If all 18 halos disappear and he hasn't fused his origin soul back together, then his soul will be gone. Xianxia took a deep breath as he looked at the temple and frowned. In the sky, when Xian Luo saw this, his expression changed. He naturally knew the reason behind the halo disappearing. He didn't hesitate to charge at the ancestral temple. Xianxia had long known Xian Luo was present, but he hadn't pointed it out. When he saw Xian Luo's figure, he hesitated a bit but didn't stop him. Xian Luo instantly arrived before the ancestral temple and stepped inside without hesitation. A powerful rebound force rushed out and shook Xian Luo's body. He could not enter and was blocked outside. At this moment, the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, the 11th halo all shattered one by one. Outside the ancient ancestor statue, only 7 halos remained, giving off a soft glow. However, one of the 7 halos dimmed and seemed like it could dissipate at any moment. Wang Lin. Xian Luo was blocked outside the ancestral temple. He was anxious and sent out a divine sense into the ancestral temple. However, it was like a cow entering the sea. Xian Luo was uncertain if Wang Lin could hear it. His hands formed seals and a sun-like halo appeared around him. He stepped into the ancestral temple, but he only took a few steps before he was knocked back out by the rebound force. As Xian Luo continued to try, inside the ancestral temple, Wang Lin's body had completely dried out like a skeleton. There were no specks of light around him and his will was so dim that it was almost imperceptible. Countless attempts at fusion had failed, causing his will to be almost wiped out. It was completely silent, but a moment later, an anxious voice echoed in his place. Wang Lin! Wang Lin! Wang Lin! Wang Lin's eyes were closed and he remained motionless. However, when the voice echoed, a flash of red light came from his skeleton-like body. This red light was the soul blood inside his body. This flash seemed to light up the darkness deep inside the ancestral temple. Time passed, but it was unknown how much. For more halos had dissipated and now only 3 remained. A lot of the light that had shrouded the world for years had disappeared. And for the first time in over a decade, night was different. However, no one was cultivating on this night. They were all looking at the ancient ancestor statue, and even their breathing seemed to stop. Then one of the 3 halos around ancient ancestor statue struggled like a candle flame in the wind before it extinguished. One more has disappeared. Only 2 halos remain. This person's soul split has gone on for 20 years. Can he really not succeed? When these 2 halos disappears, he quickly look. Another one has disappeared. A gasp echoed across the entire imperial city, and almost everyone took a deep breath. Another halo disappeared, and now only 1 remained. And this halo was also slowly dimming. Wang Lin, wake up! Xian Luo threw a punch at the ancestral temple and let out a heaven-shattering roar. This roar echoed across the entire imperial city like thunder and finally rushed toward the ancestral temple. He stepped into the ancestral temple by force once more and was rejected by the rebound force. Xian Luo was extremely anxious. He had experienced the ancient Tao 3 soul splits before. As long as the halos remained, even if there was no vitality or consciousness, it was not death, but something like sleeping. A sleeping of the soul. If Wang Lin could be awakened from this sleep, as long as the halos remained, there would be a chance of survival. This was why he had chosen to come guard Wang Lin. But once all the halos disappeared, this sleep would be equal to true death. Wang Lin, I'm your teacher, Xian Luo. Quickly, wake up. Xian Luo roared as he focused all his voice into the ancestral temple he could not step into. When his voice echoed across the entire ancient Sure imperial city, it startled everyone. Almost everyone had been wondering who had been going through the calamity in the ancestral temple. There was finally an answer to this question. Wang Lin? This name is a bit familiar. It's him. This Wang Lin is the person who killed the ancient Tao Emperor more than 100 years ago. It's actually him. Rumor has it that this Wang Lin is the 10th Grand Empyrean of the immortal astral continent. My God, I didn't expect the person going through the calamity in the ancestral temple to be that Wang Lin. As Xian Luo roared anxiously and it echoed across the ancient Sure imperial city, the last remaining halo became even more dim. It looked like it could dissipate at any time. Deep inside the ancestral temple, the bloodlight on Wang Lin's body flickered even more violently. Who is calling me? Wang Lin seemed to be asleep in a strange space. That place was blurry and he was walking blindly until he felt like a voice called to him. Where am I? Wang Lin was still confused. The voice calling him appeared and disappeared. When he wanted to listen to it, it no longer existed. How did I get here? Wang Lin felt confused as he walked forward. The sky here was dark and the earth was covered in haze. The whole world was covered in fog, so he could not see far away. This place was a ruin. There was no life in the world, as if it had been abandoned for countless years. The mountain was no longer green. It was now gray with defeat. Who am I? The confusion in Wang Lin's eyes became even stronger. He seemed to have a lot of memories, but he couldn't remember who he was, why he was here, and where this place was. Wake up! Wake up! That voice faintly echoed once more and Wang Lin stopped. I seem to have heard something. In his confusion, Wang Lin wanted to look back, but just at this moment, he seemed to see a mountain in the fog ahead. 7-colored snow was falling on the mountain, and it was very beautiful. There was a vague figure on top of the mountain. He could only vaguely see that it was a man holding a body. His long hair was being blown by the wind. This scene was filled with desolation and sorrow. Wang Lin stared at this figure. This figure made him feel a sense of familiarity. This feeling made his body tremble. A sorrowful roar came from the figure on the mountain. He raised his head and let out a roar at the sky, and it echoed in all directions. This roar contained a penetrating force that made Wang Lin's heart tremble even more violently. As this roar echoed, the dim sky began to tremble and countless ripples echoed, making it seem like the sky was going to shatter. It seemed like not even the heavens could resist the roar of this person and was going to collapse. Heaven and earth. The figure let out a roar. But just as the figure said those two words, another familiar voice appeared. Wang Lin, wake up! This voice seemed to have appeared out of thin air. When it appeared, the mountain Wang Lin was looking at disappeared, and the figure holding the body that was roaring at the sky also disappeared. Wang Lin's body trembled and he subconsciously turned and looked behind him. When he turned around, there was a thunderous rumble in his mind. He remembered. He was Wang Lin, and he was going through a calamity in the ancient Sure ancestral temple. He was attempting to fuse his soul after the second soul split. After he remembered, there was no longer any confusion in his eyes. It was replaced with clarity. At the same time, deep inside the ancestral temple, there was an old man covered in white hair trembling 100 feet away from Wang Lin. This old man was wearing the same clothes as Xian Luo. However, compared to the youth Xian Luo normally looked like, there was a huge difference. Wang Lin, wake up! The old man roared, his voice hoarse. Wang Lin slowly opened his eyes. When he saw this old man, the old man revealed a look of joy. However, he could not resist the rebound force and was blasted out from the ancestral temple. "Teacher," Wang Lin murmured, looking toward where Xian Luo had gone. He looked at Xian Luo's white hair and knew he could never forget this for his entire life. He suddenly raised his head and his hands formed seals. Large amounts of light appeared before him and gathered above his head to form a shadow. When Xian Luo was ejected from the ancestral temple, he saw the last halo slowly disappear. The halo that was about to disappear reformed and shined brightly. Then the second, third, fourth, 12 halos reappeared and shined brightly. Shortly after, the 13th, 14th, 18th halos all reappeared. The entire ancient Shur imperial city became silent due to this. After a brief moment of silence, a huge uproar echoed across the city. As the uproar echoed, the 19th halo appeared around the ancient ancestor statue. Then the 20th, 21st, 22 ND, until the 27th halo formed. They shone brightly and ripples echoed. Now, not just the imperial city, but even Origin Mountain was shrouded in this light. Xian Luo revealed a smile. He didn't stay outside the ancestral temple. When the 27th halo appeared, he appeared in the sky and sat down. He knew this wasn't over. Wang Lin still had to go through the last soul split. In the ancestral temple, there was a large shadow above Wang Lin's head that almost occupied the entire ancestral temple. This shadow was dozens of times greater than after the first soul split. He raised his head and the shadow also looked up. His gaze seemed to penetrate the ancestral temple, and he saw Xian Luo's faint smile. "Teacher." Their gazes met, and after a long time Wang Lin lowered his head. He took a deep breath. Although the second soul split was extremely dangerous, it could not compare to what he had seen when he was confused. He couldn't help but think of the figure that was holding the body and roaring at the sky. Who did that figure belong to and who was the body he was holding? Wang Lin didn't dare to think about these questions. He was afraid of think of them. He silently sat inside the temple and recalled the 68 years he had spent here. "There's not much time left," Wang Lin's murmuring echoed inside the temple. In the ancient Shur imperial city, as the 27 halos shined brightly from the ancient ancestor statue, a huge uproar echoed across the entire ancient Shur imperial city, and everyone's gazes turned to the ancient Shur statue. 18 years. This person spent 3 years on the first soul split and the second division took 15 years. He must have gone for a complete shatter and perfect fusion. The first time he succeeded, but during the second fusion, there was obviously an accident. I wonder how his third time will be. If this Wang Lin continues to completely shatter, then his third time will be very difficult. If I were him, I would end the third split early in order to stay alive. As everyone's gazes gathered inside the ancestral temple, Wang Lin took a deep breath. He removed all thoughts about that figure and fully immersed himself in the third soul split. He could tell that after this second soul split finished, his origin soul had become countless times stronger and his cultivation had also become stronger. If the third soul split succeeded and his origin soul returned to his body, he felt he would reach a new peak, to the extent that perhaps he could even surpass Gu Dao. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he revealed a determined gaze. He closed his eyes and his huge origin soul shadow, which occupied almost the entire ancestral temple, began the third soul split. It was also the last time. 3 years, 15 years. How long would this time last? Wang Lin had no answer. In a flash, Wang Lin had spent 7 years in the third soul split. After 7 years, the people of the ancient Shur all looked at the 27 halos around the ancient ancestor statue in excitement. The ancient Shur emperor had almost completed the handover to Ji-Du. The day when the new emperor would be crowned was getting closer and closer. As that day approached, the gazes of the ancient Shur moved from the ancient ancestor statue to the biggest matter in the ancient Shur, the ascension of a new emperor to the throne. Countless ancient Shur armies were slowly handed over to Ji-Du, so he could get familiar with them. This was one of the preparations for the large celestial and ancient war that would happen in a few hundred years. 5 years, 5 years, 5 years. Time invisibly passed and the seasons changed. In the blink of an eye, another 15 years passed. It had now been 22 years since Wang Lin's third soul split began. If one included the previous soul splits, It had been 90 years since Wang Lin entered the ancestral temple. 90 years of time was enough for a lot of things to change. It was enough for a mortal to live out their life or for a new emperor to ascend the throne. The current ancient Shi emperor had already retreated behind the scenes, and the one to walk before others was Jidu. Although the grand ceremony hadn't happened yet, everything in the ancient Shi was managed by Jidu. Although he hadn't put on the crown, he was already wearing the royal robe. However, even so, his habit of looking at the ancestral temple every morning never changed. He firmly believed his godfather would succeed. In the ancestral temple, the large origin soul shadow had already shattered into countless fragments and was on the final portion of its collapse. Wang Lin had learned a lesson from last time and had left a trace of divine sense on his body. At the critical moment, this divine sense could awaken him. Wang Lin continued to endure the decades of pain as his origin soul shattered. Countless people were unable to endure this pain, but to him, he even felt a little numb to the pain. When the 95th year arrived, the entire ancient Shi was preparing for the crowning of the new emperor in 5 years. At this point, the shadow above Wang Lin had turned completely to dust. He began to attempt fusing. Due to the accident that had happened during the second split, Wang Lin was very cautious. He didn't try to fuse all at once but start fusing parts of it together until it became perfect. He had an even deeper plan, and if he wanted to succeed, then he would have to do it during the fusion. Times passed. After the 96th year, Wang Lin had fused 30% of his origin soul. The soul itself was not large, only about the size of his palm. However, this 30% was several times stronger than his soul was after the second soul split. Perhaps if he could completely fuse his soul the third time, it would bring him to a new peak. On the 97th year, Wang Lin's origin soul shadow had condensed 50% and was much stronger than before. There was only 3 years left until the 100th year. A bit more than 1,000 days and nights remained. During these few years, the ancient Shi imperial city was extremely lively. Almost all the powerful people in the ancient Shi had gathered to witness the most important event of the ancient Shi. The change in emperor had caused the entire ancient Shi to become extremely lively. However, the person who was going to inherit the throne had become silent. He went the ancestral temple alone and sat down outside of it to cultivate. He gave up everything to accompany his godfather for the last 3 years before he became the emperor. As the days passed, more and more people traveled to the ancient Shi. Even people from the other 2 clans were on their way as well. Almost every day, many people would enter the ancient Shi imperial city. However, compared to the bustling imperial city, the ancestral temple was very quiet. It had been turned into a forbidden zone a long time ago, and no one was allowed to get close. There were even countless guards from the royal palace guarding this place. Jidu listened to the bustling sounds coming from the outside as he sat in silence with his eyes closed. Godfather, 3 more years and I can become the ancient Shi emperor. Jidu sat there. As the days and nights alternated, the 98th year passed. Then the 99th came, and finally the 100th year silently passed. On this day, after 100 years, the gazes of everyone in the imperial city gathered on the ancient ancestor statue once more. However, they were not looking at the halos but at their emperor. The entire imperial city was silent, and there were countless people at the palace. They were waiting for the appearance of their new emperor. There were countless people standing on the square. The messengers from the other 2 clans had arrived in a grand fashion. The people that had come were also of the imperial families and had very high statuses. They were waiting in the square. At the very center of the square, there was a giant furnace. There was a soft piece of dirt inside the furnace with a huge incense stick stuck in it. The incense stick was not lit. The only person with the qualifications to light it was Jidu. This was the imperial power incense. The moment the incense stick was lit, the smoke would turn into a drum. Jidu was also the only one who could hit this drum. When the drum had been hit 9 times, Jidu would accept a bow from the entire ancient Shi. Everyone here was waiting. Even the old ancient Shi emperor was waiting. Next to the ancient Shi emperor there were several people. One of the old men hesitated and softly said, "Time is about to arrive. Your Majesty, this. Continue to wait. There is no auspicious time in my ancient Shi." When Prince Jidu comes to take the throne, then that is the most auspicious time, the old ancient Sure Emperor said with a hoarse voice. The old man that had spoken earlier nodded respectfully. Jidu was sitting outside the ancestral temple with his eyes closed, as if he didn't care that today was this big day. Shortly after, sounds of footsteps could be heard as guards in black armor slowly closed in. Your Majesty, it's time. The guards got down on one knee. The person in the lead was a middle-aged man. Jidu didn't speak and didn't move. The guard kneeling behind him also remained silent. After half an incense stick of time, a sigh came from Jidu's mouth. He opened his eyes and looked at the ancestral temple. He silently got up and knelt down to kowtow 3 times toward the ancestral temple. Godfather, child is leaving. Jidu got up and looked at the temple before walking toward the guards. The guards followed him and they slowly left. When these people left, there was a shadow floating before Wang Lin inside the ancestral temple. This shadow was no longer the size of a palm, but the same size as his body, like before the soul split. The shadow shined brightly and looked very complete. It looked like it had fully fused, but the eyes of the origin soul were closed. 1 year ago, Wang Lin could have finished the fusion. The process had been very smooth and there were no accidents this time. However, he had chosen not to end it and had maintained a trace of defect. As a result, he had remained in a sleep-like state. He wanted to enter the blurry world he had seen during his second soul split. He wanted to see that mountain where the 7-colored snow fell. He wanted to see that figure again and hear the complete sentence. However, not even he knew how he had entered that blurry world, and he didn't even know what that place was. Finally, after 1 year of trying to find a way there, his thoughts became blurry and for an instant, he faintly saw that world again. Imperial power ignite. A shocking sound echoed across the ancient Sure imperial city. The entire palace was silent as all gazes gathered on the square, on the person in the royal robe before the furnace. Jidu no longer looked like a young man, but gave off a mature feeling. He stood there and looked at the sky as the shocking sound echoed in his ears. The sky was blue and clear. There was a soft wind slowly blowing, and when it landed on your body, it would give you a very comfortable feeling. Before him was the large furnace, and the incense stick was waiting to be lit. At this moment, he was being watched by everyone at the palace and by everyone in the ancient Sure imperial city. Even people who weren't qualified to come the imperial city had been organized by their city lords, and were all looking at the direction of the imperial city. Even in the imperial city of the ancient Tao and ancient Ji, people were looking with penetrating gazes toward the ancient Sure imperial city. Ancient Sure Emperor. Godfather, I'll soon become the emperor. Jidu looked at the sky and his gaze fell on the ancient ancestor statue in the distance. He took a deep breath and waved his sleeve. A fierce flame appeared around the furnace and the incense stick was lit. Greetings, Emperor. Another shocking sound echoed across the palace. Everyone dropped down to one knee. Only Jidu's father stood inside the palace and looked at Jidu. When the incense stick was lit, green smoke rose into the air and the sky changed colors. Clouds scattered and a rumble came from above. A huge rift was torn open in the sky and thunderous rumbles came from within. It was a giant ancient god that was nearly 100,000 feet tall, and beside it was an ancient demon and ancient devil. They carried a giant drum as they walked out from the sky and floated in the air. Jidu's body trembled and he flew into the air. When he was beside the war drum, he didn't hesitate to throw a punch at it. With a bang, a muffled drum beat immediately began to echo. It spread across the palace, across the imperial city, and across the entire ancient Sure. The first worship. The heaven-shattering voices rang out again and all the clan members bowed. Greetings, Emperor. As they bowed, their voices fused together to form a powerful sound wave. An even louder voice came from every corner of the imperial city. As the drum echoed, every city in the ancient Sure released the same voices. Bang! The second beat echoed when Jidu's right hand landed on the drum. Second worship. Greetings, Emperor. The voices became even more intense and replaced everything in the world. It was the strongest sound, second to the sound of the drum. Godfather, I have become the Emperor. Jidu's right hand landed on the drum for the third time. As the drum beat echoed inside the ancestral temple, Wang Lin remained motionless and his eyes were closed. At this moment he saw a world. The sky was dim and the earth was a blur covered by a faint curtain of fog. One could only see that it was a place that had been left in ruins for an unknown amount of years. There was no confusion in Wang Lin's eyes as he walked. He didn't know if he was walking on land or the void, and he looked around as he slowly walked forward. He didn't know how long he had walked. Perhaps it was one day, perhaps it was 1 year, or perhaps a lifetime. Until one day, the mountain appeared before him. 7-colored snow was falling on the mountain, and he saw a familiar figure on it. The figure was holding a body and roaring at the sky. Its long hair could not be distinguished from the 7-colored snow as it moved with the wind. The moment Wang Lin saw this figure, his heart skipped a beat and his breathing became rough. He wasn't looking at the figure but the body the figure was holding. However, he could only see the black hair, not the body. He couldn't even tell if the body was male or female. His face was pale as he desperately rushed toward the mountain. But even after he rushed forward for a long time, he could not get close to the mountain and see what the body looked like. It was as if there was an uncrossable ditch between him and the mountain. The roar became even more intense, and it was now filled with endless sorrow and rage. The sky showed signs of collapsing once more, as if this roar had the power to destroy the world. The voice entered Wang Lin's ears and caused his heart to feel a sharp pain. This pain could not compare to what he had felt during the soul split, but to him it was like the most painful thing in the world. Heaven and earth. The figure on the mountain raised his head and let out a roar. What's the point of being at the top of the heavens and earth? What's the point of being worshipped by all? What's the point of passing endless scriptures? If the world is like this, why not destroy it? If all life is like this, why not disappear? If the scriptures are like this, why not end it? Since it's like this, I'll use my own method to make the sky close its eyes, to make the earth sleep, to make the underworld river flow backwards, to make reincarnation stop, to make the world no longer exist. The voice was filled with shocking will that scattered in all directions. Wang Lin's heart trembled and his body rapidly disintegrated, as if he was going to kicked out from this place. The moment his body completely disappeared, he saw the figure holding the body trample the heavens, and the sky collapsed. He took the body and disappeared into the collapsed sky. The voice lingered as Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes. He was still inside the ancestral temple, and his withered body seemed as if it had decayed. His origin soul was before him, looking at him. In the end, he still didn't get a good look at the body. Even the voice was completely blurry. It sounded familiar but also unfamiliar. The surroundings were very quiet, but there were still faint "Greetings, Emperor," coming from the outside. However, Wang Lin ignored it all, and his eyes were filled with confusion. It took a long time before the confusion disappeared, and he tried to force himself to stop thinking about it. However, it was very difficult, so it took him a long time to stop thinking about it. Wang Lin silently pondered. He had to make himself think of something else. Otherwise, this thought would take root and make him collapse. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible, Wang Lin murmured as he clenched his teeth. He pointed at his origin soul, and his origin soul shined brightly. The entire ancestral temple was shrouded in this powerful light. In this light, his origin soul shadow began to expand until it occupied the entire area. It didn't stop, it shrouded the entire ancestral temple, and expanded toward the ancient ancestor statue. Inside the palace, the drum echoed. The ninth worship. Greetings, Emperor. As the voice of the ancient Shi members fused into a deafening roar, an extremely bright light came from the ancient ancestor statue. Jidu, who was standing in the sky beside the drum, suddenly turned his head. He looked at the ancient ancestor statue as the 27 halos shined brightly. At the same time, a shadow expanded and covered half of the ancient ancestor statue. Godfather. Jidu was startled for a moment and then his eyes became filled with shock and excitement. At the same time, everyone else noticed what had happened to the ancient ancestor statue. They saw this shadow instantly cover the statue and reach the same size as the statue. The shadow seemed to overlap with the statue, but when it did so, the ancient ancestor's appearance changed. It now looked similar to Wang Lin. This was because Wang Lin's origin soul had expanded and covered up the ancient ancestor statue. In the sky, Xian Luo revealed a happy smile. Ancient Tao 3 soul splits. He has finally succeeded. I wonder what kind of gift he will obtain from the ancient ancestor. On Origin Mountain, Song Tian, who wasn't attending Jidu's ceremony, also looked at the ancient ancestor statue, and the same thoughts echoed in his mind. What kind of fortune can he obtain in the blessing of the ancient ancestor? Song Tian was looking forward to it. Just as everyone was looking at it, and even Jidu's ceremony had paused, the 27 halos around the ancient ancestor statue shined brightly and then flew into the sky. The halos rose into the sky and ripples echoed in the air. After the last halo rushed into the sky changed colors. The 9 songs echoed across the ancient Shur imperial city. This sound was wonderful and could not be described by words. Ripples appeared and then a ghostly light suddenly descended from the sky. Then there was a faint ray of red light that gradually became brighter until it dyed the sky blood red. This was a drop of blood. This drop of blood gave off the aura of a soul, and when it appeared, the entire ancient Shur imperial city became dead silent. Soul blood. On Origin Mountain, the moment Song Tian saw the blood, he was shocked and revealed a look of disbelief. It's soul blood. 3 drops of soul blood can create an ancient clan. He already got a drop before, and now this is the second drop. Xian Luo took a deep breath. Even he didn't think Wang Lin could get a second drop of soul blood.